Good evening. Welcome to the Nassau County Board of Commissioners meeting, 5 p.m. Monday, March the 10th. I'd like to call the meeting to order and ask you to please rise for the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. Invocation tonight will be delivered by Mr. Irving Gilliard of American Beach.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, sir.
Our Heavenly Father, we honor you, we praise you, we give you all the honor, give you all the glory. And Lord, as we go into this agenda, we ask that you just lead and guide our county commissioners as they make decisions concerning the citizens of Nassau County. A blessing for those that support them through the county manager's office, county attorney's office, and their support team as well. And continue to bless and to keep our first responders as they go through their day-to-day jobs, through dangers they may see and dangers they don't see. Continue to look on our military as they protect this great country. And we ask a special blessing upon those that are in the White House making decisions that govern all of us. In Jesus' holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the pledge of allegiance to the flag of our country.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, if you please call the roll.
Commissioner McCullough.
Here.
Commissioner Gray.
Here.
Commissioner Farmer.
Here.
Commissioner Martin.
Here.
And Chair Huffman.
Here. County Manager, any expansion or deletions to the agenda?
Yes, sir. I request the board consider expanding the agenda tonight to consider authorizing the chairman to sign a letter of support for Northeast Florida Builder Association's apprenticeship program. They are seeking state appropriations, and so we would like your support in supporting them. In return, it helps our staff become trained and better serve the citizens.
Okay, so the expansion item is approve and authorize chairman to sign a letter of support for the Northeast Florida Builders Association state appropriation request for funding that will aid in the expansion of their apprenticeship program. Commissioner discussions or motion?
Motion to approve. Motion second.
Point of order.
Yes, just one point of order. We need to vote on expanding the
Correct.
agenda first. Is
Correct.
that was that? And
That's-
then the motion second.
Correct. I'll accept.
Motion to expand.
One further point, then we put it under county manager business, correct?
Typically, you do.
That-
Motion to expand.
Okay, I have a motion from Commissioner Farmer to expand,
Second it.
second from Commissioner Gray. Call the vote. Record the vote.
5 ayes, 0 nays. And the motion passes.
Okay, I'm going to make this item tab AG, and I'm going to put it as the first item under new business.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Proclamation resolutions. Tab A, proclamation for National Procurement Month. I'll accept a motion on tab A.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second, Mr. Chairman.
I have a motion from Commissioner McCullough, second by Commissioner Gray. Call the vote. No, ma'am.
I'm missing Chair Huffman's vote. Is it an aye?
It's an aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Record the vote.
It's 5 ayes, 0 nays.
Commissioner McCullough will present tab A this evening.
Do we have the procurement? There we go. I was looking for you. I said, I saw her when we came in. I said, everyone's here. Come on, guys. We love when we have a
Right.
blue house.
That's why we're going to move it up so that,
Yes, yeah, he just showed up. Yes, sir.
This is a proclamation of the Board of County Commissioners of Nassau County, Florida. National Procurement Month, March 2025. Whereas the Procurement Department is responsible for procuring goods and services for the Board of County Commissioners. And whereas our procurement professionals play a significant role in ensuring that the board secures the best possible for those goods and services. And whereas the procurement department prepares and solicits bids, requests for proposals, requests for qualifications, and ensures that purchases are done in compliance with the board's adopted purchasing policy. And whereas the procurement department works daily to ensure the most effective use of taxpayer dollars while maintaining the highest standard of service within a competitive, fair, open, and transparent procurement process. And whereas the Board of County Commissioners joins the National Institute of Governmental Purchasing in recognizing their outstanding public purchasing professionals. Now, therefore, it be proclaimed that this 10th day of March, 2025, by the Board of County Commissioners of Nassau County, Florida, that number one, the board recognizes the vital role our procurement professionals play in developing procurement strategies, cultivating working relationships with suppliers and other departments within the county's organization. And that number two, the board hereby applauds Procurement Director Lainey Gilmore, Senior Procurement Specialist Evelyn Burton, Procurement Specialist Thomas O'Brien, and Contract Coordinator Colby Burkus for ensuring that the taxpayer dollars are used effectively and for securing the best possible prices for goods and services. And this is signed by our chairman, Mr. Hup Hupment, and certified by our county attorney, Ms. Denise May.
Thank you. Thank you all very much for your support and acknowledging March as Procurement Month. And I would be remiss if I did not thank my staff here. It's their hard work and dedication every day to setting a standard of excellence. So thank you all very much. Thank you, Marshall, Taco, and the board for your support.
Thank you. Tab B, a proclamation for Government Finance Professionals Week. I'll entertain a motion on tab B.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve tab B.
I'll second it.
A motion from Commissioner Martin, a second from Commissioner Farmer. Call the vote. And record the vote.
5 ayes, 0 nays.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Martin will present tab B this evening. Thank you, Commissioner Martin.
My pleasure. Come on down. There's plenty of room. Mr. Clerk, you're officially invited to come join this crowd. You're welcome. All right, we ready? Proclamation of the Board of County Commissioners of Nassau, Florida, Government Finance Professionals Week. Whereas the Florida Government Finance Officers Association is a professional association founded in 1937 and serves more than 3,300 professionals from state, county, and city governments, school districts, colleges and universities, special districts, and private firms. And whereas the FGFOA is dedicated to being your professional resource by providing opportunities through education, networking, leadership, and information. And whereas the county's professionals serving in the Office of Management and Budget and the Clerk of Courts Finance Division work hard every day to ensure that financial policies are being followed and that the processes in place are sufficient. And whereas This Government Finance Professionals Week, sponsored by the FGFOA and all of its member governmental organizations, is a week-long series of activities aimed at recognizing government finance professionals and the vital services that they provide to our state and community. And whereas during this week, the government finance professionals throughout the state of Florida will be acknowledged for their hard work, dedication, and leadership. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed on this 19th day of March 2025, which is really the 10th day of March 2025, by the Board of County Commissioners of Nassau County, Florida, that the board commends finance professionals from the Office of Management and Budget and the Clerk of Courts Finance Division for their hard work and dedication. The board proclaims the week of March 17th through March 21st, 2025 as Government Finance Professionals Week in Nassau County. And it's signed by our chairman, Commissioner Hupp-Huppman, and attested by our county attorney, Denise May. It is. No, I'm gonna get over here. How's that? Congratulations.
Congrats again. Mr. Kiter, would you care to say a few words while you're here, please?
Sure. I just wanted to really just say quickly thank you to the board for taking a moment just to recognize the hard work each one of these individuals put in each and every day. You know, there's a lot of work that goes in here to make sure we get it right, and they get it right every single day. So thank you for them. Thank you to you for recognizing them, and thank you guys for making us look good. So thank you guys again.
Thank you, sir. Thanks.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I do want to thank you for recognizing my OMB team. They're not all here today, but they're a phenomenal team. They work hard every day for you and me, make us all look good. And I also want to thank the leadership team. The leadership team just creates a great environment for us all to be successful. I appreciate that. And also the clerk team as well. Rob's got a phenomenal team. Believe it or not, I would say the majority of my team, there's about 10 of us, the majority come from the clerk ranks. And so we work very closely with them, and we appreciate them. We meet with them a lot, and thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. All right, if you folks that were recipients this evening want to slide out, now is a great time. Unless you want to enjoy the entirety of the meeting this evening.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir. Mr. Commissioner Farmer.
if I may, I'd just like to thank both departments. You know, personally, there's some real smart people behind the curtain that I don't think the taxpayer's aware of. I mean, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes here to make sure that we keep things trued up. And that ultimately saves the taxpayer money. Keeps us all out of jail at the end of the day. I don't look good in orange. I don't look good in green and white stripes, black and white stripes. I don't look good with a man with a van with a shotgun picking up trash in the ditch. So I just want to say thank you to each of those departments, and I'm sure the county manager feels the same way I do. At the end of the day, man, those are the guys that really make things happen, and I'd just like to say thank you personally.
Thank you, Commissioner Farmer. Presentations, time limit is 15 minutes. Tab C this evening, Florida Department of Health Nassau Quarterly Update. Dr. Glick, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Commissioners, County Manager, Assistant County Manager, and staff. Thank you very much for the opportunity to give just a quick update on what we've got going on at the Department of Health. As you said, my name is Kara Gluck. I am the Health Officer for the Nassau County Department of Health. Just wanted to give a quick overview of our total budget, operating budget. We're at about $5.75 million, and those funds come from a multitude of sources. You can see those come from state, local, and federal dollars, as well as reimbursement for fees, contracts, and insurance payments. For the local funding, you all provide us about $1.2 million, and this is where our dollars are going. Most of our dollars are going to our salaries, and so that's salaries for staff to provide services, and I will provide an overview of some of the services that we are providing to the residents of Nassau County across the county. We have capital outlay. I'll talk a little bit about that project as well, and then some additional expenses in regards to being able to keep our organization afloat, doing some renovations and those type of things to our facilities. So the last time I was here, I gave an overview of our facilities as well as our programs. And so this time I wanted to give an update on what our programs have been doing since July, which is the beginning of our fiscal year within the health department, through December, for everyone to get a good picture of that. We have our county health division, and within our county health or community health division, we have our WIC services, our Healthy Start, which is home visitation for moms and babies, and then community engagement and outreach. Some significant accomplishments for WIC is participation has increased by 9% in our program. One of the ways that participation has increased is we have added a physical location for clients to come in and receive those services, and we added those services over on the island at our Fernandina location on Nectarine. We've increased the number of days our clinics are open, so we went from 4 days a week to 5 days a week, because it is important and imperative that our moms, especially those with young babies, young children, have the opportunity to get in to see us when they can, versus reducing those days and not operating full 5 days a week. Our breastfeeding rates have increased by 12%, which is a pretty significant accomplishment, because we were well under the state average, and now in Nassau County we have risen above the state average. So our WIC team certainly deserves some accolades for their accomplishments there. And Healthy Start, as I said, is our home visitation program for moms, dads, families, for young pregnant, as well as through 5 years old. So we coordinated an intake and referral process, and we saw a almost 45% increase in referrals, which is significant, especially when we're looking at high-risk individuals, and making sure that we're getting them home visitation services, really when we learn about pregnancy as well as soon after birth. Ongoing visitation, we have increased our services, and we're providing quite a few services such as parenting education, depression screening, and providing just outreach events. We had a significant outreach event at Christmas time where we were able to love on our families a little bit and make sure that they had a quality Christmas for their children. We had some wonderful activities. We had a Polar Express theme, and it was just a great day for those families and for our staff. And then our community outreach and engagement. This is where you see us most of the time out in the community. We've been at 19 local outreach events. We have started our community health assessment process, and I'll talk about that in a few moments. We did recently, in conjunction with the City of Fernandina Beach, a walkability survey. That survey was over on the island from 8th Street to 14th Street, from Jasmine to Atlantic, and looking at the built environment to see if there are any barriers or opportunities that we can increase the built environment so that the residents have a healthier environment for living. So that we looked at sidewalks, we looked at lighting, we looked at trash in the home and things that we could do, and we're working collaboratively with City of Fernandina, and they have been a great partner. We also had a World AIDS Event Day where we've done some outreach. We partnered with UF Health to bring a mobile unit. We have also assisted 90% of our clients to get on managed health insurance so that they can continue to receive the services that are necessary and vital for them to maintain their health. As I said, we are starting the community health assessment process. I did send a stakeholders survey to all of you, and many of you participated. Thank you for your input in regards to what your perspective is of our community as a stakeholder and things that we can focus on. Not only are we looking at your input, our stakeholder input, our governmental, non-governmental, and community organizations, but we also will be reaching out to our community and our residents. Our goal is to have 5,000 surveys returned in regards to getting perspective from the residents of Nassau County, from the north to the south, to the east to the west, all the way across the county, and making sure that we have proper representation from all communities, all demographics within the county to get their input on what they feel is important and what we should be focusing our time and efforts on from a public health perspective. So more information will be forthcoming on that. We have environmental health. Our environmental health program includes all of these different programs, but some of our accomplishments is looking forward to the transition of our OSTDS, or our septic program, will be transitioning per statute change from Department of Health to the Department of Environmental Protection. And that can happen as soon as July 1st, because that's when statutorily Department of Environmental Protection has to move to the next phase. The information I'm getting at this time is that we're probably looking more at a September timeframe for that transition here in Nassau County, but that is a continuously moving needle, so I will keep you apprised of what that looks like and the impacts that that will have here on Department of Health and our residents here in Nassau County. Our beach water quality, water sampling is resuming, and we will be testing those different sites out on the beaches to make sure that the water is safe for our swimmers and for our visitors, our residents who utilize our beach waters. We've had almost 1,000 inspections that have been conducted in that 6-month time frame from our different facilities. And then our mosquito prevention, which is our arbovirus program, we have 6 sites across the county. And we identified 6 equine encephalitis virus, 5 flaviavirus, 37 West Nile, and 2 St. Louis encephalitis. And so that's just through a sentinel surveillance program where we are proactively looking at different arboviruses that may present in the community, as well as then what we do with that is make sure that we are communicating, and we're communicating prevention efforts, and then if we need to focus some response efforts on that, we can as well. Our clinical services, we've increased our services by almost 20%, so 18.6, almost 19% from a year ago. So the July to December 2023, so then July to December of 2024. So we've increased our services. That's a pretty significant growth, almost 20%. We've also increased our revenues, which is important when we're looking at a growing community and being able to sustain our operations. We have installed an electronic alerting system, so that way if our power goes out and our backup generator does not kick on, that our vaccines, we maintain the integrity of those vaccines, and we get that notification, we can move vaccine as necessary. And then we have implemented new protocols to test and treat for sexually transmitted infections. So we're doing some really good things in our clinical services area, as well as school health, which is part of clinical services. You can see we're providing lots of services in collaboration with the school district. That relationship is a very strong quality relationship, and I am very proud of the work that we do in our school district on a daily basis for our students. And then our dental services, we saw almost 900 clients, and we provided a little over 4,000 services. So that could be extraction, that could be restoration, that could be varnishing, it could be sealant, it could be just basic preventative care, x-rays, those type of things. And then from our operations section, we have developed and implemented a comprehensive inventory management system. One of the things that was identified soon after I came on board was that we had not invested in our information technology infrastructure, and that was an area that we had significant areas that we needed to improve. So we've been able to do that. We've pulled some new staff on board, as well as a comprehensive inventory management system. We have completed a new strategic plan that actually is in draft process, getting ready to be finalized. And then we have transitioned from our offices here at the James Page facility over to the fire department off of Page's Dairy. That has allowed us to actually look at our operations, and are there opportunities for us to cross-train staff and utilize staff in a more effective manner, because we're more closely related on one campus. And then we've continued to enhance our relationships with our state Bureau of Preparedness and Response, Nassau County Emergency Management, and then our fire and rescue partners. Those relationships are imperative when we're looking at disaster or emergency response. And so that is one area that I identified as well that we at Nassau County Health Department could do a better job, and we have been strengthening those relationships. And then in regards to our administration and finance and accounting, we have done some restructuring, reorganization, looking and assessing all of our positions, looking at where those positions are actually located, and does it make sense for them, or do we need to make some changes? We have fully filled our positions within our finance and accounting staff, as well as we are reviewing and revising 100% of our policies, procedures, and processes. That is our focus, to ensure that we are up to date with all regulation, statute, law, and those type of things. So looking ahead, what are some things that we have coming on board? We are working with the county for Musselwhite build-out for warehouse space, and that'll be build-out space for preparedness materials as well as other health department materials that we don't use on a daily basis, but we need to have for special events and that type of thing. We just simply don't have the space to be able to store on each of our sites. We were redesignated from a small county to a medium county within the state of Florida. That designation is up to, for the Department of Health, the threshold is 100,000 population, and as you all know, we have moved over that 100,000 population, and so our designation is different. It doesn't necessarily mean a lot to us in regards to our operations, but that could mean more things to us as we continue to grow within our population base over the next several years. We are looking at that on-site sewage treatment and disposal, going over to Department of Environmental Protection, and then we're looking at updated fee schedules. We've been working with Mr. LaCombra and the finance staff, and then looking at our service provision and ways that we can better provide services to the residents of Nassau County to overcome barriers that they may experience. One of the things that we're certainly looking at, and that you may have heard me talk about, is trying to procure a mobile unit. We are still waiting on our federal project officer to tell the state if they will be able to provide us with some federal funds for that unit. I'm hoping that that's the case. If not, we'll identify other avenues of being able to identify and encumber those funds. We do have that community health assessment, as I said, and that community health assessment will then lead into a community health improvement plan, looking at ways that we can better our public health services and increase the health of our residents. And then our services that we were able to increase that I spoke about was the clinic at Fernandina Beach. We're providing adult health services as well as our WIC services over on Nectarine. We have a new kiosk for client check-in within WIC. And then we do have daily clinical services in all of our locations, which is a big win for us. And I have about a minute and a half if anyone has any questions.
Mr. Chairman. Commissioner Gray was first there. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation, Director Gluck. I just want to say kudos and thank you very much for bringing a breath of fresh air to Nassau County with the department. Your team building exercise, I visited your sites. I can see the morale improvement. I've seen the facility updates. I'm excited to hear about the mobile unit that reach our seniors on the west side of the county. That some is homebound that don't have services. You know, our seniors is what made this country great here in the United States of America, and we don't need to let them fall behind. And just want to say thank you for all you've done. Thank you for inviting me as a commissioner of the board to tour your facilities and meet your staff. And it's just been a noticeable improvement. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to echo everything that Commissioner Gray said, and I just have a question. It's just curiosity.
Yes, sir.
It was a great presentation. I don't have any questions really on much of the health-related part of the presentation, but you said we got redesignated from a small county to a medium county, and the minimum threshold was 100,000. What's the upper limit population from medium to large?
It's currently 250,000, but the State Department of Health is looking at a multitude of different threshold indicators, not just looking at population, but looking at population, looking at operating budget, looking at full-time employees, looking at a multitude of different things. So that designation categorization is likely to change probably in the next fiscal year. But at this point, it's so smalls are up to 100,000, mediums are up to 250,000, large are up to 500,000, and then over that is a metro and then those larger population
Great,
bases.
thank you. I was just curious.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner Martin. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Anyone else? Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
A great presentation. All right, consent items. If any board member wishes to move a consent item to new business, please do so now.
Is this working? The request to speak?
I have not seen anything.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Martin.
I would like to move tab G and tab H to new business.
And tab H. Okay.
And if no other commissioner has anything they'd like to move,
There was somebody speaking on my left there as you started to talk. Was there another item? Or did you cover that?
Yeah,
Same,
we're
same.
Move G.
Okay,
great minds think alike.
right, okay. Mr. Pakula, if you don't mind, I'm going to just hold your card for a moment as we move this item G to new business, and I'll call you then, sir. Okay. Consent items. We're going to move tab G and tab H to new business.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to accept and approve the consent items that said, except tab G.
I'll second that.
And tab H.
I will second that.
Okay, I have a motion from Commissioner Gray and a second by Commissioner Martin. Call the vote.
You will give me just a moment.
Trying to help you.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Yep.
It's like it's working. Is yours working?
Okay, and record the vote.
5 ayes, 0 nays.
5 ayes. The consent item passes. New business. Any member of the public may address any item under new business at this time. The time limit is 3 minutes. Is there anyone who wishes to address items under new business? I would like to say, Mr. Pakula, if you would like to speak now on tab G, because we just moved it to new business, now would be a great time to do that, unless you'd like to wait till to get to that specific item.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Commissioners.
Thank you.
We've been up here before to thank you for previous trails, and we're on the final segments here of the Mee Allen Parkway Trail. It's taken some time, and it's going to be a lot of money, all funded through grants. And I thank the commissioners, key members of the staff, Mr. Pope, Mr. Companion, many others. The procurement guys worked awfully hard overtime to get these things done, and they're great amenities for our community. You'll probably receive many thanks for these trails when they're all done. Construction will take a while. Probably by the end of this year, we'll have these last segments done. They're then all awarded to CGC Corporation. They built the first segment. I'm sure they'll do a fine job for us for the remaining segments. So my pitch is just thanks, and if you haven't seen the placards we have up, this is what the placards for the new trail do look like. So thank you very much for all
Sir,
the
would you
time
be
and
willing
effort.
to give your name and address?
I was going to cover that.
I apologize.
I was going to state that for the record, that's Mr. Mike Pakula of 99106 Green Heron Way, 32034. Thank you, Mike.
That's all I have. Thanks again, everybody, and all the staff support.
Okay. Mr. Manning for tab V, would you like to speak now or wait till we get to tab V?
I'd like to wait.
Okay, sir, thank you. Tab AG. This was an expansion item from earlier, authorizing the chairman to sign a letter of support for the Northeast Florida.
Through the chair, did we vote on tab G?
No.
Okay, I think we need a vote.
My
on tab
apologies.
G.
Thank you for that. Thank you, Counselor. Got ahead of myself there. Tab G, awarded an invitation to bid NC 24-003R to CGC Incorporated. Approve and authorize the chairman to sign CM 3858 with CGC Incorporated for the construction of the Amelia Island Parkway Trail, Segment 2, Via Del Rey Road to 14th Street, in the amount of $3,316,747.
Mr. Chairman, I moved it to new business because I wanted to get a report from staff.
Correct. Oh, thank you, Commissioner Martin.
Good evening, Mr.
Vandy,
Chairman.
thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, Commissioners. What's before you tonight is the second segment of the Amelia Allen Parkway Trail project. At the February 24th meeting, you approved segments 3 and 4. So this is segment 2. This is that segment that I mentioned during that meeting that has a lot of utility, drainage, and turn lane conflicts, which caused this section to be a little bit pricier than the others, but this cost is covered by the FDOT grant for this project. It's actually a federal grant that's administered through the FDOT. And I'm here to answer any questions. We're really excited about it, and Mr. Pikula stole a lot of that thunder by saying that this is the completion of it, but we really couldn't do it without them, so I'm very thankful for their help as well as far as the Friends of the Amelia Allen Trail.
Thank you, Mr. Companion. Commissioner comments?
No, thank you, Mr. Companion. And if no other commissioner has anything to comment on, I would move to approve tab G.
I'd just like to ask Mr. Companion a question.
Absolutely, yes, sir.
Are there any whoop-de-whoops or jumps in the new segment?
No, sir, no. We're trying to keep it safe for all. Mr. Pikula requested a loop-de-loop, but it did not,
Didn't make it?
we didn't make it in there.
Okay, well, we'll just have to work on that lobby for another segment. I
Yes, sir.
appreciate that.
I have a motion from Commissioner Martin. I'm waiting on a second. And a second from Commissioner Farmer. Call the vote. Record the vote.
5 ayes, 0 nays, and the motion passes.
Thank you. Tab H, approve and authorize the chairman to sign contract number CM 3868 and CM 3869 with Eastern Computer Exchange LLC for the purchase of Storage Area Network, SAN, device replacements and support totaling $478,969.88.
Again, Mr. Chairman, I requested to move that to tab H, new business, to get a report from staff.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner Martin. Mr. Ironman.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So as part of our technology team, they have an active equipment replacement program. Part of that is our servers or the storage area network devices that we have. With this, as part of the adopted budget, we have about $500,000 set aside for this project. We're utilizing piggyback agreements to assure competitive procurement. And this will basically maintain our backup systems, the data storage for much of our computer programs as we utilize them. And always, as you enhance those or improve them, you get the additional benefit of security devices within those as well. So,
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ironman. Any additional comments or questions from the commission?
Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve tab H.
Second.
A motion from Commissioner Martin, a second from Commissioner Farmer. Call the vote. And record the vote.
5 ayes, 0 nays, and the
Thank
motion passes.
thank you, Madam Clerk. Tab AG. This is expansion item from County Manager. Approve and authorize the chairman sign a letter for support for the Northeast Florida Builders Association state appropriation request for funding that will aid in the expansion of their apprenticeship program. Commissioner Gregg?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. We have someone in the audience, if you'd like me to.
Okay, yeah. I do have a comment card on this item. Thank you.
Commissioner Hubman, while you're
Yep.
looking through that,
County Manager Pope. Thank you.
Mr. Doug Podiak as well on my behalf wanted to recognize NEFBA and kind of articulate to the board why it's important to the Board of County Commissioners to support NEFBA's apprenticeship program as well.
Thank you. Okay.
Good afternoon,
Mr.
Commissioners.
Podiak, how are you, sir?
The program that we're asking you to support is for the additional training that the organization can actually put on, that they would like to add to some of the journeyman training certifications. We currently take, I believe that we have carpentry, AC, electrical, and plumbing. They want to add to those trades. Those trades are going to do nothing but benefit the county. Our staff takes, that they take advantage of that training now, and all that training is going to do nothing but give career development and enhance Nassau County, so we would appreciate your cooperation.
Thank you, Mr. Podiak. Mr. Austin Nicholas? Good evening, sir. If you'd please state your name and address for the record.
Yes, sir. Austin Nicholas, 6747 South Point Parkway, Jacksonville, Florida. I have our Director of Workforce Development here, Christina. I'm going to let her say just a couple words about the program. I truly appreciate y'all doing this.
Yep. So Christina Thomas, also from 6747 South Point Parkway. So thank you very much for that kind endorsement. I'm very pleased to announce that after 52 years that we have found a permanent location that's going to house our apprenticeship training program. We have procured that spot, but we are going to need some additional assistance to help expand those programs, to help outfit those labs. Just so that you guys know what you're supporting, we serve several counties in the Northeast Florida area. Duval County does have about 55% of the population coming, 21% is from Clay County, and Nassau has 14%. And we've seen some huge increases in our enrollment. Just in my tenure over 9 years, we've gone from 181 apprentices to 515. And our goal is to get to 650. So just in the past 5 years, since COVID, we've already seen almost a 30% increase in enrollment. A big piece of that has a lot to do with our youth enrollment, which has increased 25%. I want to commend the Nassau County Career and Technical Education Department for a big part of that. We have seen an increase in the areas that invest within their CTE programs, and it's great that you guys have 3 very active, robust programs in the area. The overall direct economic impact, because all of our apprentices work full-time, is $20 million. So if you think about 14% of that coming from your Nassau County participants, that's a huge impact on your economy. Our graduation rate for our apprentices is at 67%, which versus the national average of 54% for apprenticeship programs, which is still above the college graduation rate, which falls a little bit short of that. We have over 205 participating employers offering this Earn While You Learn on-the-job training. And we've also seen a 48% increase in apprentice wages over the last 10 years. So we thank you very much for your support in this endeavor.
Thank you, Ms. Thomas.
I'll just wrap it up, Commissioner. Thank you all so much for taking the time to do this. A lot of elected officials talk a lot about workforce development, and it's a hot subject right now, but the Nassau County Commission is actually acting and working on this issue, which we truly appreciate, and you all taking the lead in Northeast Florida. So thank you again.
Thank you, Mr. Nicholas. Commissioner Gray?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, NEPA, representatives, I just want to echo something, that your board prioritize initiating and promote local economic growth and workforce development. I believe that's a true statement. Y'all the largest in the whole state of Florida, Northeast Florida is this council up here. So with over $20 million annual in direct and local economic impact, and you said your impact growth enrollment was to 29.5%. That's huge. So I just want you to know, we as a board appreciate you because our electricians, our HVAC, our staff that's building, our current remodeling our whole operations center here, they're going through your apprenticeship program. And so that partnership we value very much, and want to thank you very much for that partnership. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're very welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Gray.
I would agree. I would second that motion, that initiative, because when you look at this, we actually have a tab later on in the agenda where we're looking at expanding that economic growth and development. But as I've worked in career tech education for many years now, my students are certified, but I think one component that they miss in workforce is that it does require education. I think people think, oh, I'm going to go into a blue-collar job, that's it. But you need those skills. Knowledge is power. We're continually growing, and I'm grateful for NEPA's support because we need trained, high-skilled workers to compete in this economy, and we've got to grow Nassau's economy. So I appreciate your efforts. I'm grateful for it. I'm looking forward to continuing to build those relationships with our CTE programs so that we can go from like 14%. Let's set a big goal, 20%. I'm gonna try to get all those kids over there by the end of the spring. I'm starting a personal goal. We're going to 20% for 26. So thank you, guys.
Can I get my nickel back, Mr. Chairman?
Commissioner Gray.
Yeah. And so I want to share this, I want to put it on the record. So I was talking to Mr. Nicholas, and he was telling me there is a grant program that if our employees need a grant to provide and help them offset transportation costs traveling from Nassau to Duval, there's one available. So I just want to put that out there so everybody's watching or knows anyone that's graduating from high school, wants to go into an apprenticeship program. There's opportunity out there that they can apply for. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Gray.
Absolutely. Well, applications open tomorrow, so
Okay.
keep my colleague Charlie very busy, please. Thank you.
Thank you both. Any other commissioner comments? Commissioner Farmer?
Yeah, I was just going to say it, nothing attracts and drives economic development like an educated, skilled workforce. And at the end of the day, these real-world skills that extend beyond learning how to use a saw or extend beyond learning how to use a tape measure and what the parts of an inch are, there's a lot of communication, safety, humility. All these things are just indicative of who we are as a community, and that's what's going to bring people here. When these large businesses find out that this talent is here, that's what attracts economic development. So you can't have the economic development without this highly trained, highly skilled group of individuals. And I've had the opportunity to work alongside of some of these young people, and I can go ahead and tell you it's indicative of some real strong parenting in our region. And I'd like to thank the parents, I'd like to thank NEFPA, I'd like to thank all the instructors and our friends at the state level for supporting this project and this program as it moves forward. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Farmer.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Martin?
I feel the urge to say, the need to say something. I move to approve tab AG.
I have a motion from Commissioner Martin.
Second.
Second from Commissioner Farmer. Please call the vote.
Sorry.
And record the vote.
It's 5 ayes, 0 nays,
Five
the
ayes.
motion passes.
Okay, tab AG passes. Thank you, Ms. Thomas, Mr. Nicholas. Item U, under new business, consider approval of Southeast Utilities request on behalf of Comcast to install 98 feet of underground cable along and crossing Scott Road, entering Y Road to extend Comcast service and authorize staff to issue the right-of-way permit.
Good evening, Stephanie Kaiser, Planning Department.
Thank you, ma'am.
So before you tonight, the county has received a right-of-way permit to do work on a Canopy Road on Scott Road from Comcast. The proposal is to install approximately 98 feet of cable boring underground under Scott Road and across Y. So according to section 37.08 of the Land Development Code, no development may occur on a Canopy Road without the Board of County Commissioners' approval. So that's what's before you tonight. With this proposal, no canopy tree will be removed, and staff recommends approval.
Thank you, ma'am. Any Commissioner discussion or questions?
I don't have any discussion or questions, but I did see, Mr. Chairman, in the agenda that no trees would be affected by this. So I'd like to make a motion if you'd like to entertain one.
Correct, right, I saw that as well. All right, I have a motion from Commissioner Gray.
Yes, sir. I'm waiting on the system
Second.
here.
And a second from Commissioner Martin. Call the vote. And record the vote.
5 ayes, 0 nays.
Great. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Tab U, I have a speaker card. Tab V. Mr. Mark Manning. This is consider approval of Surf Builder Homes Incorporated, request on behalf of the owner of 1358 Gerbing Road, Fernandina Beach, to construct a driveway for ingress, egress to their property and authorize staff to issue the right-of-way permit. Mr. Manning, if you could state your name and address for the record.
Yes, I'm Mark Manning. I live at 1342 Gerbing Road, Fernandina. And I have 3 points why I'm totally against this project. First point being, I own this land. So that's a big issue, obviously. The tax department says I own this land. I've paid taxes on it since 1998. Property department says I own it. The GIS mapping says I own this land. The county's GIS mapping. What's happened here is they have gotten an incorrect survey. And so they're trying to use that incorrect survey to take this land from me. So I'm sure this is going to end up in court, this part. But I just for you guys to know, we need to at least continue this until we can get all this information. We know their survey is wrong. The problem is we can't prove the exact property line at this time. What happened was they used a bulkhead that is there now as the property line. That bulkhead was not here when these lots were put in. This bulkhead was added in the late 50s. I have pictures if anybody'd like to see it, where the bulkhead is not there. So it's a big thing. So The surveyor on my survey says, start at this bulkhead. So they started at a bulkhead that was not there when this property was developed. So that's what we've been trying to go through and through. So I'm sure this will end up in court, but like I said, I paid taxes on this land since 1998. The county GIS says it's my land. So that's where we are on that point. Second point I'd like to bring up. This was made a canopy road to stop the unnecessary taking down of trees. This lot has a driveway already to the lot that you do not have to take one tree down to get to this lot. They're asking for a second driveway. That driveway has been in effect since the 50s. There is a garage-type building next to where they want to put their house. It's there now. Mr. Walger, when he owned this property, he kept a big tractor down in this, drove down there all the time, kept a big tractor down in this garage. He kept motorhomes down there from time to time, cars. So there's no reason for them to have to do a cut-through to a canopy road, take trees down, when they already have access to this property. I mean, I don't understand. I had another reason. I can't remember what it is now. I'm nervous up here.
It's okay, Mr. Manning, take your
So
time, sir.
I think that stated my point well enough that, I don't see how you can do a permit when it's basically, it's being continued. It's going to probably end up in court on whose land this is. But your own county GIS says it's my land. And the taxes I paid on it have been considerable since 1998, I can tell you that.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Manning.
Thank you.
I'd like to address this as well.
I'm sorry,
I'd like to address topic B as well.
okay.
I'm John Raleigh of Surf Home Builders. That's applied for the,
Okay, so you're the applicant.
yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman, as a point of order, can we get the staff presentation first, and then the applicant would have, I want to hear from staff.
Okay.
And then the applicant would have an opportunity.
How about we do that? Yeah, okay, thanks.
Yes, and I will, the very weird definitions in your 3702 do not call for a quasi-judicial per se, which is why you don't see this under quasi-judicial, but under staff. But I'll let her expound on anything she hasn't already said. I believe she did address you. It's very limited. It's not full-on quasi-judicial.
So there's not going to be a lengthy report?
No, sir.
Or are you able to address the property owner's contention?
Mr. Manning did come to us with this concern. We did reach out to the owner and applicant of 1358 Gerbing, which Mr. Lawley is the agent for them. They reviewed their survey and their site plan, and they are adamant that that is their actual property. They had a survey from 1985 that kind of correlates with the property being in a similar position.
Okay, so I don't feel like having to go to court over something that can, if we get the parties together with staff and go to the property, well, I don't want to act like our attorney, county attorney. I mean, would you make a recommendation, maybe we can move this to a future agenda and get the parties together to go to the property appraiser's office together? Or how would you?
And to be clear, this could end up in a quiet title civil action between the two of them. Nothing to do with the county. That said, if you would like to continue the item to get better proof, of course, you haven't heard from the other side yet either.
And I'm willing to, I don't run, I wanted to hear from staff first, but, it sounds like this is a dispute over ownership of this property, and I'm happy to hear from the other gentleman too, but I would still say that I don't feel comfortable voting on this tonight.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Gray.
Can I ask a question of staff, please?
Certainly.
Staff, your conclusion in the report is staff recommends approval. Has anything changed since this was put out?
No,
This agenda? Staff still stands recommended by approval? Okay.
from the information that we have, yes.
From the information that you have? Okay, yeah, I just want to make that question. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. I'd like to hear from the applicant.
Yeah.
John Raleigh, 1017 South 8th Street, Fernandina Beach. We have surveys from 2025 and 1985 that, as the staff pointed out, correlates with the property line that's shown on our survey. Survey was done by Manzi and Drake, very respected. John Lasser is their attorney, very respected, and the Lassers have owned the property next to this property for the last 50 years. From what I've seen, they haven't presented any kind of survey or any document that says that they own the property. We say that the county agrees with us, that the county's plat is the same as what ours is. This family has owned the property for 40 years or so, and they may have another access to it. The whole property is 12 and a half acres, but that's not what they're trying to do. They're trying to put an access to this lot, and they do own the property. There's an existing fence that's on these surveys that has been there since the 1985 survey. It identifies it as the property line, and that very same fence is on our survey that identifies it as the property line. We've asked Mr. Manning for surveys. He's never supplied anything. John Lasser has contacted his attorney 3 different times asking for information. They are not cooperative. They don't want to work anything out. They just want to not have development on this property. They've had 6 months to get a survey and bring it here, a year to get a survey and bring it here that they've been, claiming this, but they've not provided one single document that says that they own it. We have a professional document that says we own it. We have the county records that says that we own it, or that the Paulsons own it more specifically. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer. If not, thank you so much for listening. And we would say that the surveyors don't survey from a bulkhead. They identify property by monuments. They used the same monuments 45 years ago or 40 years ago in 1985 to identify the property. They found the very same monuments in 2025 and identified the property as such.
Thank you, Mr. Lowen.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'm just going to make a statement for the board. The right-of-way permit application is signed and notarized. I don't know if we all got to see it in the packet. I just brung it up, just sharing that with everybody. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Gray?
My name is Christine Polson. My family's owned this property, and I'm the one who's going to be building a house on the river there and requesting this driveway. I would really object to postponing this because I have been trying to work with Mr. Manning. I have emails that he has shared with me since last September. He's lied to me over and over that he has a survey, he's going to get a survey. I have gone back to Manzi and Drake and had them come out and reflag to reconfirm that we are correct. If there was a problem, I was happy to work it out. But they have assured me that their survey, they will stand behind it. And I just would object to putting this off because that's all he's done is delayed and caused me time and expense because I'm having to get an attorney. And then his attorney doesn't respond to my attorney. And it's been extremely frustrating. So, thank you. Do you have any questions for me, or?
Thank you, Ms. Paulson, for the additional comments. I will entertain a motion on tab B.
Well, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Martin.
Mr. Manning, you've been accused of lying and not providing proof and being uncooperative, so I would like to give, with your permission, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Manning, an opportunity to rebut those comments.
Mr. Manning?
And just in general, this is the first time it's come before us. So, I mean, I understand what's being recommended, but this is the first time it's come before us, and now we're hearing conflicting sides, so.
Yeah, we.
Through the chair, if I could, before he
Excuse me, Mr.
responds.
Mayor, one moment.
I just want to remind the board that your criteria is in 3708 and in your staff report. We are not judge and jury over their civil dispute.
So it's legislative action.
Yeah, your action is legislative in 3708.
And
Approve or deny.
Thank you, correct.
Okay.
Okay, we did speak, I'm not sure if the date was September, a while back. I thought they had backed down, we're gonna move it, they doing a lot of property, we're gonna do it somewhere else. Then even when the notice for this came out, the sign was placed 100 yards up the road from where they're actually asking for this driveway. We thought it was over. We didn't think it was, we thought the whole thing was over until just a couple of weeks ago. And then we found out when I went up and talked to some of the people here and went out there that they were continuing with the original plan. And the reason I wasn't in a big hurry was everybody was telling me it was my property. Your GIS states it. You can go look at it. It shows a cutout there that's my property. And I've been told by tax collectors, the reason I've been paying taxes on it since '98, it's your property. Now, we'll be glad to go out there and get a surveyor. We've found the problem. We know where the problem is. But we just got to find, we don't know the real property line. But we'll have to get a surveyor out there, so it could be, it could be off, what we think it could be off by 10 or 15, 20 feet. What the GIS from the county shows could be off. But we know at least a good portion of that is our property. We know that. And I have not lied to anybody at any time.
And Mr. Chair, if I could just remind, your criteria is whether or not there is the ability to do this driveway for ingress and egress within the canopy road. Staff's report indicates that no canopy tree is to be impacted. And that's your decision point, not the property line dispute.
I have just one more question, and then I'll be ready to vote.
Commissioner Martin.
Through the chair to the county attorney. So if this gets approved tonight, and the legal dispute is between these two
That's correct.
folks, we have no liability in that.
That is correct.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Gregg.
thank you for your conversation and question, Chairman Martin. I'm going to defer with staff and follow the legislative, and I do appreciate Commissioner Martin bringing that up because that makes me feel a little better as well. I'd like to make a motion to approve.
A motion for Commissioner Gray. I have no second. I will entertain.
Mr. Chairman, can I make a motion to table this to our March 24th meeting where we can do a little bit more research and talk with staff and the attorney? May we just move the motion to March 24th, Ms. May?
Let me defer to the
I
attorney.
will say that you've already heard from the applicant that they don't wish a continuance. That said, this is not quasi judicial and there can be no discussions offline. So it would just be the same discussion on the record on March 24th. Your criteria and under 3708 is, the fact is that no development can occur on a canopy road zone that has been previously approved by ordinance without the express permission of this board, including for reasons such as ingress and egress to property. So they have to make an application to growth management or planning department as it's called now. They review, they look at the development, which they have done, and they have said there is no canopy tree impacted and made a recommendation to you. Your job is to approve or deny.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Martin.
through the chair to the county attorney. So if we deny this, then we've inserted ourselves in the legal vow.
You would need competent, substantial reasons why you would be denying this based on your own ordinance.
I will second Commissioner Gray's motion.
All right, I have a motion from Commissioner Gray, a second from Commissioner Martin. Madam Clerk, call the vote.
I'm not getting anything on my screen, Mr.
You have
Chairman.
to click back to live meeting.
Okay, I'm
if
sorry.
you had your
I
tabs
apologize.
open. That's okay.
Thank you. Okay, I got it now, sorry.
And record the vote.
5 ayes, 0 nays,
5
the
ayes,
motion
0.
passes.
Motion passes. Thank you, ma'am.
And Mr. Chair, if I could just reassure, now that you've taken your vote, your approval of this tonight does not approve if there is still a civil issue, there is a court of equity for them to file in if they want to stop any development in there and they want to get this settled before then. Your approval of this does not turn dirt.
Understand.
Thank you.
And it was secondarily driven by the Canopy Road designation of Gerben.
Yes, sir.
Correct.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks for the clarification. Tab W, consider reduction of code enforcement lien, CE case number 09-658, Bryce Huggins, 45035 James Street, Callahan, Florida, 32034. Mr. Companion.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Commissioners, what's before you is a request for a code enforcement lien reduction. The property went into a fine for nuisances to public health, unsafe conditions. Back in 2009, that fine ran for 1,751 days at $50 per day until June 25th, 2014, when it was brought into compliance. That brought that fine up to $87,885.11 plus the administrative fee of $335.11. Since the imposition of this lien, we've entered the new county ordinance, section 161B3. The maximum amount of a code enforcement lien shall be no more than 35% of the assessed value of the property as determined by the county property appraiser at the time of the imposition of the code enforcement lien, which would have been June 25th, 2014. On June 25th, 2014, the property value, 2009 when the fine started, so that would have been 2009, the value of the property was $15,000. So based on your ordinance, the maximum amount of the fine at this time that can be assessed is $5,250. This case was heard before the special magistrate. A new owner has purchased it, was not aware of the lien, as he testified in front of the special magistrate. The special magistrate and code enforcement department both recommended a fine amount of $5,189.45 based on your ordinance language that is now in place. And the property owner respectfully requests for the reduction, again, to that $5,189.45, including the administrative fee of $335.11. And with that, I'm here to answer any questions that you may have.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve tab W.
Second. I have a motion from Commissioner Martin and a second from Commissioner Farmer.
And can you clarify the amounts again?
Yeah, the total inclusive, including the administrative fee, would be $5,189.45.
Okay, and then the administrative fees?
It's included in that amount.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Just to clarify the motion, it is for $5,189.45, a reduction to. And that's,
Yes, sir. That is
okay.
correct.
Madam Clerk, when you're ready, if you'll call the vote. And record the vote.
5 ayes, 0 nays.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Chairman, before you go to the next tab,
Commissioner Martin.
I just want to give kudos to our code enforcement magistrate, Harrison Poole, and the code enforcement staff, and Ms. Duranby, who was participating, Deputy County Attorney, who participated. And I watched the video of that, because when I saw it on the agenda, I watched it. And everything was done very professionally. There was a little bit of dispute on whether the administrative fees counted in that 35% or not, and I think the right thing was done for the applicant. So kudos to the magistrate and staff.
Thanks for the additional information, Commissioner Martin. Mr. Gregg? Yep. All right. Item tab X, approval to submit Florida Job Growth Grant application in the amount of $6,250,000 to construct a 4-lane roadway to access 700 acres of industrial and commercial land. Mrs. Coyle?
Yes.
Good evening.
Good evening. Holly Coyle, Economic Resources Manager. So this is a request for approval to submit a Florida Job Growth Grant application for $6.25 million to construct a 4-lane roadway that would access nearly 700 acres of commercial and industrial lands. The property is located north of 10, south of US 90, west of 301 in this general area here. The map to the right shows the future transportation network. You can see that it will serve in the future a regional purpose connecting to both Baker and Duval counties. Mr. Avery Roberts, who is here tonight, owns the property in Duval County here as well. So this is the project right here. I'll show you a bigger map in just a moment. So this is a conceptual site plan of the proposed project. It includes 360,000 square feet of light industrial, 3.8 million of high cube warehouse, 2 million square feet of distribution center, and some associated commercial uses for a total of about 6.2 million. And the roadway would start at US 90, across the railroad. Whoops, it's about, sorry about that, it's about a third of a mile. And this just shows some of the activity. This is a really active area in the county, in the Tri-County area with Baker and Duval. Baker has, this is the project boundary, or the county boundary here, Nassau County, Baker County to the west. There's a mixed-use development proposed in that area, and then south of this particular project is Mr. Roberts' project, which is also a mixed-use project in Duval County. So the cost estimate is $8.47 million. It does include intersection improvements at US 90 and traffic signalization and a railroad crossing as well. Our request is for $6.25 million, and the remaining $2.22 million would be paid by the developer, Mr. Roberts. There is a potential capital investment of almost $2 billion, and then potential ad valorem tax revenue generation of $29 million per year. We are estimating in the first 10 years, jobs totaling 1,253, and then the following 5 years, another 1,115, for a total of 2,368 in the first 15 years. And again, we are requesting approval to submit the Florida Job Growth Grant. Mr. Roberts is here tonight, as are Sherry Mitchell, Executive Director with the Economic Development Board, and Mr. Jerry Henson, who is on the Executive Committee of the Economic Development Board. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Gray.
Mr. Chairman, thank you so much. Thank you, Holly, and this is wonderful. You know, I was going to say this is big for Nassau County. This Florida Job Growth Grant Fund, if they award us at 6.2 to create all those jobs for our residents, I'm super excited. I think it's located in a wonderful area down there, next to Baker County. I think, got Walmart Supercenter, distribution centers right down the road there. So it's this big growing area there. So I'm very pleased to see this, and thank you very much. And I'm really happy. I'd like to make a motion to approve if no other commissioners have any comments.
Sure, we have some other comments first before we, but I'll hold on that one.
Yep.
Commissioner.
You can go first if you want.
Commissioner Farmer.
I mean, Commissioner Gray pretty much summed it up, summarized it. I mean, this is a great opportunity to see economic growth in a place where there's already surrounded by, similar uses. That's correct. And I think with as much traffic as we're seeing coming down that corridor with I-10, 301, and 90, all that's it's set for that. And hey, if it didn't produce but a dozen jobs, it'd have my vote.
There you go. Amen.
Thank you, Commissioner Farmer.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Martin.
Ms. Coyle, could you come back up? Those numbers that were on the screen, the 20-some hundred jobs, 300 jobs, and that one, 1.2 billion, 29 billion, the potential ad valorem tax revenue, 29 million to Nassau County?
To Nassau County. And Mr. Ironman can speak
that's
probably better
okay.
than I can.
Just say, yeah, you confirm that, right?
Yes, we've looked at the analysis. I did want to just clarify, that's 29 million to Nassau County as a whole.
Okay.
The Board of County Commissioners would be about 17, so a lot of this helps benefit our school district as well.
And the other question I had, I looked all through there, because whenever we put in for these grants or help somebody put in for a grant, I always look to see if there's any match. I didn't see any match.
No, it's developers paying a 2 point.
So the developers
There's no match
pay-
from the taxpayer, right? The county.
No.
If the grants.
That's all I need to know.
We appreciate that. Mr. Pope, you caught my eye there for a moment. Did you have something you wanted to add?
I just wanted to take a moment to recognize the property owner, Mr. Avery Roberts. We've been working with Mr. Roberts now for several years on a couple different projects. This one's come to fruition, I think, a little bit faster than both of us kind of anticipated initially. But I think, as the saying goes, you strike while the iron's hot, and there's an opportunity for us to move. And so, as staff and as a citizen, appreciate this moving forward, and we appreciate Mr. Roberts being a good partner.
And Mr. Chairman, my questions, I just wanted to get my questions answered, so it was on the record, so people that watch this and taxpayers see what kind of a positive impact this is going to be for Nassau County.
Absolutely, yeah. And we started working this last year with the rezoning that piece down there anyway, and here we are. That was fast. So we appreciate that kind of opportunity. Ms. McCollum.
I know that, listen, when Mr. Pope and I, when this first came about in one of our one-on-one meetings, I literally jumped up for joy in the chair because the west side, Nassau County needs this, but to see that industrial corridor continue to grow, our success as a county relies on such mixed use. You know, a lot of times we get crucified if we see houses coming, if we see building coming. You know, people don't want building, but you do. You want job growth. We've peaked over that 100,000 residents. When we stay stagnant in rooftops, our taxes go up and up and up. When we have this commercial industrial growth, when you have such amazing team like Sherry and Holly working with this economic growth development team, I, for one, am grateful as a taxpayer, as a commissioner. Ladies, I commend my hats off to you for your diligence and working so hard on this project. I can't wait for it to finally, like us to be out there with the shovels. That's what I'm excited for. So this grant's awesome. To see the state's commitment to local job growth, I think, you know, that's the beauty of all of these partnerships coming together for the betterment of Nassau County. So thank you.
Great. I have Mr. Gray, did you want to say something behind your motion?
Well, take a nickel back, I
All
guess.
right.
So these are primary jobs. So in economic development, you got primary jobs and secondary jobs. These primary jobs right here, those numbers you see in, they'll spin off secondary jobs. So it's just like, okay, so a primary job would be working at a distribution logistics center or something like that. But then your secondary jobs, that person's going to spend money at a grocery store nearby, create that job. So this is probably one of the biggest shot in the arms in Nassau County I've seen since I've been sitting in this seat right here. So thank you. I love to make a motion.
I have a motion from Commissioner Gray.
Second.
And a second from the other three commissioners simultaneously. And I'll add mine to that as well. This is a win. So, Madam, if you please call the vote. Yep. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There you go. It's 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Tab Y, approve and authorize chairman to sign second amendment to the interlocal agreement for landscape maintenance of certain county road rights-of-way within the East Nassau Stewardship District. Mr. Companion, welcome back, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me back again. What you have before you is a landscape maintenance agreement amendment, basically to that agreement we have between the East Nassau Stewardship District and ourselves. And what happens is they maintain the enhanced landscaping that are in those public roadways, county roadways. We maintain the pavement, they maintain the landscaping. So this is just adding additional roadways to that already existent agreement, including Still Quarters Road, Glover Lane, and a small unnamed portion of roadway that's included that'll help us with access to the new fire station site that's within that location. And I'm here for any questions you may have.
Any Commissioners?
Motion to approve tab Y.
Motion from Commissioner Gregg,
Second.
second from Commissioner Farmer. Call the vote. And record the vote.
5 ayes, 0 nays. The motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Companion. Tab Z, approve and authorize chairman to sign CM 3513, change order 03 with United Brothers, Phase 1, Spring Lake Estates, in the amount of $136,011.30, increasing the total contract to $1,665,509.83. Mr. Companion.
Yes, sir. Spring Lake Estates is a subdivision there, kind of southeast of Callahan, that was constructed in the 80s. They built the roadways, built the houses in there, and the drainage system was never constructed as permitted with the St. Johns River Water Management District when the developer built it. So we took on that problem in the 80s. And ever since then, we've been, over the years, over the decades, been doing improvements wherever we can. Well, we finally looked at this project holistically about 2 to 3 years ago, started the design on it in-house, redesigned all the drainage to work as it was originally intended. And I'm happy to say that work is nearing completion. This is the last piece of Phase 1 to get it completed. And we've already seen improvements. While it's not perfect yet because we still have a Phase 2, we have seen massive improvements in the drainage patterns and things that the folks that are experiencing out in that neighborhood. So I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
That's good news. Mr. Farmer.
I don't have any questions. I'd just like to reiterate to Robert, which we've already spoken several times about, that the residents of that community are just ecstatic at the fact that they see our trucks out there moving around and see us correcting issues that, like you said, should have been fixed on the front end. But for us to take the bull by the horns, if you will, and help those people out. I see them out all over the place. You know, they call me up. I see them in the grocery store, man. You know, and you and I have been back and forth on several different issues. In fact, you met me on site there one day, and we rode out there with one of the landowners out there. You know, and it just says a lot about who we are as a group. And I just want to say thank you so much for your help and diligence to make this project move forward. And I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Thank you all for making it happen.
Okay.
Second.
I have a motion from Commissioner Farmer, second from Commissioner Martin. If you would please call the vote.
She was working good for a while, so
Yep.
she's tired.
I don't have,
I do not have a vote from Commissioner McCullough.
I don't have the
do
option
it,
to
just
vote.
do a voice vote.
Voice
Okay.
vote.
Oh, all in favor, yes. Wait, I'm
Just your vote, please.
so tired. Yes,
Chairman Hopman.
I'm sitting here
Aye.
reading the
Aye,
board.
thank you.
Aye.
And record the vote.
5 ayes, 0
5 ayes,
nays.
0 nays. Thank you, Madam Clerk.
I'm tired.
Right. Tab AA, consider reappointment of Linda Bell to the Nassau County Amelia Island Tree Commission.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve tab AA.
Second.
I have a motion from Commissioner Martin, a second from Commissioner Farmer. Call the vote. Record the vote.
5 ayes, 0 nays.
All right, Ms. Bell, thank you for your continued service. We appreciate you. Tab AB, appointment to the Board of County Commission representative to the Juvenile Justice Circuit 4 Advisory Board. Mr. Pope?
Yes, sir. This is a request, it's actually a requirement that we have a representative on the council. So it's before you tonight to volunteer or be voluntold to serve on this, in this capacity. And so I will leave it at you all to have that discussion.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Mr. Farmer?
I was actually reached out to in '23 by Judge Khalil to sit on this, and I actually have done a little bit of this with them. I wouldn't mind, continuing my service there if the board so
Mr. Chairman, I move
chooses.
to appoint Commissioner Farmer
Second that.
to be the Board of County Commissioners representative to the Juvenile Justice Circuit 4 Advisory Board.
Thank you, Commissioner Farmer, for your.
I'll second that, Mr.
Thank you,
Chairman.
Commissioner Martin. I have a motion from Commissioner Martin, a second by Commissioner Gray. Call the vote. Record the vote.
5 ayes, 0 nays. The
Great.
motion passes.
Thank you
Thank
for
you for
your
stepping up.
continued service, Commissioner Farmer. I appreciate it. Tab AC, set shade meeting regarding the L3101 negotiation schedule for March 24, 2025 at 3 p.m. I will entertain a motion for that.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion and request to speak after it's seconded.
Okay, I have a motion from Commissioner Martin. Go ahead, sir. Thank you.
Okay, well, I've got a VA medical appointment in Jacksonville that day at 1 o'clock. And
Okay,
it shouldn't take long, and I should be able to get back, but I don't want to be stuck in traffic and late. So is this as late that day as I apologize for the late notice on this, but is this as late in the day as we can do that?
we have a meeting.
I mean, we've got a meeting at 5 o'clock for the board. We need to typically be out 30 to 60 minutes before for the transition to prepare for the meeting. And so we try to keep it at 3 o'clock for that.
All right, well, I don't want to everybody have to reschedule things because of me. I didn't want to wait until that day and then say, oh, I'm on my way, I'm stuck in traffic.
Yeah.
So I am going to do my best to get here on time for that, and so I'll move to approve tab AC.
Second.
I have a motion from Commissioner Martin, a second by Commissioner Farmer. Call the vote. And record the vote.
5 ayes, 0 nays. The motion passes.
Very nice, thanks. If it would please the entirety of the board, I'd like to propose just a 5-minute recess before we get into the legislative
Yes, sir.
and hearings.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Just a quick break, folks, and we'll be right back.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Convene at 6:31. We have green lights. Legislative hearings. This is relative to tab AD. Consider CPA 23011, an ordinance of the Board of County Commissioners of Nassau County, Florida, amending the 2030 Nassau County Comprehensive Plan, amending the future land use map series, Flumes 7, Three Rivers DRI Master Land Use Plan, renaming the Flumes 7 map series map as, quote, Tributary DRI Master Plan, unquote, amending policy FL 01.02.H.2.A, providing for transmittal, providing for severability, providing the effective date. This is in District 5. I will open the floor.
Well, actually.
Madam Attorney, if you please read the procedures for legislative hearing.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
The following is a legislative item, that's tab AD. The procedures are in place to give all who wish to speak for or against an item the opportunity to do so. Those wishing to speak in favor of or against the item being considered will have 3 minutes to address the board. All statements should be addressed to the board and address only the item under consideration. Speakers should not engage in personal attacks on other speakers, staff, or board members. Speakers must begin by stating your name and address for the record. Please do not be repetitive or restate information. Sharing or transferring of time is not allowed. The clerk will control the time allocated. Again, that is 3 minutes. Any speaker that has documents as part of their presentation should present them to the deputy clerk. They will become part of the permanent record. This meeting is being recorded, so please no discussions, talking, or clapping, as that does distort the recording. The board will then close the public hearing and discuss the item under consideration. You may ask questions of speakers or staff. You will then deliberate and close the item. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Madam Attorney. With that, on tab AD, CPA 23-011, I will open the floor for public discussion. Tab AD, one speaker card. Mr. T.R. Hainline. Good evening, sir. Welcome.
Yes, good evening. T.R. Hainline, 1301 River Place Boulevard, Jacksonville. I'm here representing Greenpoint, who is the developer of Tributary. I'm here with Brad Odom of Greenpoint, Casey Dendor, and Thomas Hatcher of ETM, and with Mike Mullen, who's kept us all straight, or tried to anyway. So this, of course, is a transmittal of a comprehensive plan amendment to state agencies for Tributary. This will be back before you for adoption, along with a DRI, Development of Regional Impact Development Order amendment, and an amendment to the planned unit development zoning. The three items together represent an updating of the Tributary Development of Regional Impact. We've spent the past more than 2 years working with your staff to provide details, particularly in the Development of Regional Impact Amendment and in the Plan Unit Development Amendment, details as to some key issues that are important to the county and to us, including demonstrating the feasibility of non-residential land uses and properties in the DRI, specifying commitments on affordable housing, and describing in detail the design, permitting, and funding of a boat launch on our waterfront at our village center. These amendments altogether are not about changing or intensifying the uses. It's about just updating and better defining the developer commitments. I'll mention that at P&Z, the P&Z meeting, one speaker appeared and spoke about some specific intersection improvements at State Road 200, specifically a right turn lane. Our traffic engineer is here if you have any questions on them. Our traffic engineer spoke at P&Z, essentially saying that it's our obligation to look at the data, the traffic data, in each of our biennial reports that are due, And as to improvements at State Road 200, if FDOT says that the data means that we need to do a right turn lane there and make that an improvement such as that, then that will be our obligation to do that. So that was the only discussion of substance at the P&Z meeting, at least in terms of speakers. And with that, we're happy to answer any questions. Appreciate your time and appreciate the staff's patience and very diligent efforts in working with us over the past 2 years.
Likewise. Thank you, Mr. Hanlon. Staff presentation?
Good evening, Commissioners. Elizabeth Back with the Planning Department. So as Mr. Hainline stated, before you tonight is a comprehensive plan amendment, 23-011. This is just for the transmittal stage. This is not for adoption tonight. So the request is to amend the future land use map series, map 7, and then to additionally amend future land use element policy, FL.01.02.H.2.A text. The change is to revise the Flume 7 map. That would be to reflect previous and current revision requests. The Flume 7 map has not been adjusted or amended since the original DRI was approved. So we felt it would be a good time to bring that up to date based on amendments that have been made up to this point and what the current requests are, both for this and the companion PUD and NOPC or Notice of Proposed Change request, which will come before you at a later date. So for the policy text amendment, this would be to correct the name of the DRI, or Development of Regional Impact, to tributary. That would be in conformance with the previous NOPC request. To also clarify language regarding light industrial uses, correct the square footage permitted for light industrial uses, which, as Mr. Hainline stated, it's not seeking additional entitlements. That is just to correct a scrivener's error there. And then also to clarify that the dry storage of watercraft is for the term berths. The owner applicant is Three Rivers Developers LLC, and the agent is Emily Pierce with Rogers Towers. As you can see here, this is our future land use map series 1. To orient you, I'm sure you're aware of where the tributary development is located. It is where I'm pointing right here. The Three Rivers DRI underlying land uses are multi-use, or MU, and conservation, or CSV1. And then coming to this slide, we can see on the 2030 future land use map series, the Flume 7 that I had mentioned that had not been adjusted over the years. So looking at the next slide, we can see here, this is the proposed Flume 7 map. The tributary development in general is over 1,500 acres in size. It has a zoning of planned unit development, or PUD. The allowable mix of uses, which, as was stated, is not proposed to change, has 3,200 dwelling units, 300 watercraft dry storage slips, 500,000 square feet of retail, 50,000 square feet of office, and 250,000 square feet of light industrial. As I mentioned, these are the text amendments for that policy within our future land use element. And just to kind of show you on the left-hand side, this is the currently approved preliminary development plan. So this one on the right is the future land use map series 7. That would change. We don't do the preliminary development plan approvals through the comp plan amendment process or map amendment process, but just wanted to show you kind of, here's what it had looked like before. You can see down here, you have the promenade, the village center area. You have this commercial light industrial at the northeast corner. You can see it over here on the right-hand side. You can see as well commercial light industrial on the northeast corner. And then both the school sites, the county park areas, you still see the structure of that spine road. So there's a little bit more detail on the Flume 7 map. They have identification of the different unit areas, but that is what is proposed. And changes include on the map, like a stated refinement of the areas proposed for residential uses, as opposed to residential neighborhood commercial along the northern section of the Spine Road. Relocation of the boat launch area to the eastern side of the village center with a kayak launch proposed along the western edge. Provision of some additional detail regarding connections, both vehicular and pedestrian, and then location of access points. It includes a greater depiction of open space areas and more detail afforded to depictions of the various units. And I will let you know, too, there was a supplemental staff report following, as was mentioned, the Planning and Zoning Board met on March 4th of 2025, did recommend approval with a vote of 4-0. And for this, there's a companion cases, NOPC 23-001, also PUD 23-004, will be heard at later date, and subject to Florida statute, any amendments containing 50 acres or more are considered large-scale and do require transmittal to FDOC for interagency state review. We do find as staff that based on the consistency analysis in the staff report, that this amendment is consistent with the comprehensive plan, county code of ordinances, and the land development code. And based on these findings, staff is recommending transmittal of this application. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
I don't see any at this time. Commissioner Farmer.
I saw in your report where kayaks are gonna be on one side and boats are on the other. And, are the kayaks not getting along with the boats in tributary? I mean,
We hope to have both, certainly.
I've heard some arguments, where guys say, the kayakers are in the way of the boaters and this and that. So I presume that that's the reason for that, is that you kind of direct one path one way and one path the other way to kind of do away with the confusion, because it is a little slow sometimes with a kayak, but, I said all that in jest, but I presume that's the reasoning behind it, is to, have.
Well, we'd love to have both, but all of it is subject to permitting, and it's beyond the county's control, some of that permitting, but there is language in there that ensures that the boat launch would move forward.
Gotcha.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Gregg.
If you may, just to piggyback on Chairman Farmer's question, it is very good to separate motorized versus non-motorized watercraft. Because at Milton, over here in the summertime, I cringe when I ride down 200, look over there and see the kayaks and the boats together. So does cause a lot of confusion, and staff, county manager has, as the board, we all work really hard to try to, and thank you to this board, to get the headwaters of Lofton Creek on Pages Dairy to have a separate kayak launch, so we can have a little bit of separation between motorized and non-motorized. So I think that's gonna be a big benefit for this development here, yeah.
And for you boaters around here, our waterways are very, very winding, so make sure you don't come around these blind curves running 65 and wash that good friend up in the kayak up in the bushes.
Commissioner Martin?
No,
No, I'm sorry, you had your sort of hand up, sorry about that.
Sorry about that.
That's all right, okay, thank you.
That was the move on hand.
Thank you, Ms. Mag. Is there an applicant presentation? Oh, okay. I had just the one public comment card from Mr. Hainline. So is there any other public comment? None. Board questions for staff? None? Okay.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Close the floor
Close her up.
for public discussion. Board deliberation.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Martin?
this is your district, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Would you, I
Yeah.
defer to you.
I appreciate that, Commissioner Martin. Mr. Chairman,
I will entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion on tab AD. Based on the record, evidence, and testimony received, I find that there is competent and substantial evidence pursuant to the future land use element of the Nassau County Comprehensive Plan, the Code of Ordinances, and the Nassau County Land Development Code, and therefore my motion is to approve CPA 23-011 for transmittal to state agencies.
Okay, I have a motion from Commissioner Farmer,
I seconded it.
second from Commissioner Martin. Call the vote?
Mine's messed up again. Let me help you.
Okay, thank you. Do this. All right. Thank you, sir. IT guy got that. We'll let them know. And record the vote.
5 ayes, 0 nays, the motion passes.
Okay, thank you very much. Quick comment on that, there's been a lot of work on that. We're grateful to all the parties involved on that piece of work. That was a lot. Well done, sir, to everybody. Tab AE. This is quasi judicial public hearing. Madam Attorney, if you would please read the procedures.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Tab AE is to consider FD 24-005, the final development plan modifications for Buckhead 2, Phases 3 and 4 of the Buckhead Planned Unit Development PUD, 85 single-family residential units, which is 10 additional units, and associated infrastructure to the north of Deer Run Trail and Trophy Trail, north of Ford Road. Application filed by Calico Development Company, owner, and Cedar Homes and Atkinson Engineering PA agents in District 4. Quasi-judicial hearing by state and case law is different than a regular hearing conducted by this board. A quasi-judicial hearing is less formal than a court hearing, but similar in its procedure and evidence matters. Applicants have the burden of demonstrating through competent, substantial evidence that his or her application is consistent with the following requirements. As for tab AE, Land Development Code, Section 5.07C2, Site Development Plan Review, Submission Requirements, and LDC Section 25.05F, Planned Unit Development Procedures, and the adopted Preliminary Development Plan, PDP, found in Ordinance 2002-52, and the conditions of the Buckhead PUD Development Order adopted by Ordinance 2002-52. Those opposed must also demonstrate through competent and substantial evidence that the application does not meet these requirements. General objections without specific evidence does not constitute competent substantial evidence. The applicant is entitled to be represented by counsel, and if they desire continuance to do so, they will have to make that request of this board. It will be at your discretion to grant or deny. The hearing procedures will be as follows. Staff will be sworn to describe the applicant's request, and they will have 10 minutes. The applicant may waive their application or presentation and rely on staff comments. If they waive their presentation, they retain the right to rebut any testimony against their application. Does the applicant wish to waive their presentation and rely upon staff comments?
I'll have a short presentation.
Thank you, sir. So the applicant or their representative will have an opportunity to present evidence on their behalf, and they will have 15 minutes for that presentation. Public participants for or against the application will be sworn. They will have 3 minutes each to provide testimony and present evidence to the board. Extensions of time may only be granted through the chair. Sharing or transferring of time is not allowed. Public participants presenting evidence for or against the application will please address the board at the podium. Any documents or photographs submitted must be given to the deputy clerks. When you are testifying, they will not be returned. They do become a part of the permanent record. As a quasi-judicial hearing, large numbers of individuals for or against a particular item will not be considered. It does not constitute competent and substantial evidence. The applicant or their representative will have a maximum of 10 minutes for cross-exam or to provide rebuttal. Staff will have 5 minutes to provide any final comments. The board will then close the public hearing and discuss the application. You may ask questions of applicant, staff, or witnesses for or against the application. Any motion of the board should please include whether you find competent substantial evidence in the record and/or testimony received to support your decision to approve or deny the agenda item. Again, the meeting is being recorded, so please no applause, outburst, or talking. If there are any questions regarding these hearing procedures, could you ask them at this time? Seeing none, Mr. Chair, you may continue.
Thank you, ma'am. And again, for the record, this consider FD 24-005, final development plan modifications for Buckhead 2, Phases 3 and 4. The Buckhead Plan Unit Development, PUD, 85 single-family residential units, 10 additional units, and associated infrastructure to the north of Deer Run Trail and Trophy Trail, north of Ford Road. Application filed by Calico Development Company owner and Seda Homes and Atkinson Engineering, PA agents, District 4. Ex parte disclosures to tab AE. Commissioner Martin?
I do not believe I have any.
Commissioner Farmer?
None.
Commissioner Gray?
We haven't any none.
Commissioner
I
McCollum?
do, and
Okay.
they're on my county device. One was with Mr. Hager, and then two were with residents within the Buckhead community, and they are both on my county device.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner McCollum. And I have none for the record. Madam Clerk, if you please identify the documents being placed into the record for tab AE.
Yes, tab AE, FD 24-005, agenda item summary, 2 pages, staff report, 4 pages, approved final development plan, 12 pages, planned unit development monitoring report, 3 pages, staff presentation, 8 pages, planning and zoning board final motion, 1 page.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to accept the documents in the record.
Move to accept the documents.
Second.
Motion from Commissioner Farmer, motion by Commissioner Martin, second by Commissioner Farmer. Call the vote. Record the vote.
Commissioner McCullough?
She has a green.
I have a green yes on my
Okay.
screen, I'm sorry.
It's five ayes, 0 nays.
Five ayes,
Yes,
zero
I'm
nays.
sorry.
All right, we will accept the documents in the record. I'll open the public hearing for tab AE. Staff presentation. 10 minutes, please.
Or less.
Yeah, or less if you like.
Do you swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please state your name and department for the record.
Adam Olson, Planning Department.
Thank you, Mr. Olson.
Yeah, thank you. All right, good evening, Commissioners. Again, Adam Olson with the Planning Department. I'll give staff presentation for tab AE, which is FD 24-005. The consideration of approval for the development plan modification to Buckhead 2 Phases 3 and 4 Final Development Plan. The applicant is Calico Development Company, agent Cedar Homes, Atkinson Engineering, and this is in Commission District 4. So here we have a location map for Buckhead 2 Phases 3 and 4. It's situated to the north of the existing Buckhead PUD, which is off Ford Road, kind of north of Briceville off US 301. And it's a large tract of land, 207.2 acres. Here we have the master site plan from Final Development Plan FD 24-005. So on the overall site plan, you can see there are 85 new residential lots, as well as the associated infrastructure such as roadways, stormwater ponds, and recreation areas. This final development plan was approved by the DRC on December 31st, 2024, and then was last presented to the PZB where it received approval, and now is before you for the BOCC. FD 24-05 would allow for 85 single-family units and associated infrastructure. This is a final development plan modification to FD 22-004, which was already approved for 75 single-family units by the BOCC on January 23rd, 2023. So this modification will add 10 more residential units, will change the layout of the roadways and stormwater ponds, and also changes the location of the recreation area. I highlighted here in red the recreation area. So this plan here on the left, this was from the existing approved FDP. And so the recreation area is shown here, in the rear of all of these lots along the road. And access would only be this tiny frontage it has on the road here. So this really isn't an ideal location for a recreational area as far as access for pedestrians as well as being behind homes. So in the modified plan here on the right, highlighted in red are the new recreation areas. So they have much more road frontage, and they also meet the minimum area which is required for the PUD. And then you can see they've added 10 residential lots, shifted the stormwater ponds, and changed the layout of the roadways. So next I'll go through the conditions which we have from the Buckhead PUD. The first condition was that recreation space would be provided in Buckhead 2 Phases 3 and 4, as shown in the preliminary development plan from Ordinance 2002-52. The recreation area is required to be 2.6 acres, which will serve the entire PUD. And here you can see this is from the modified FDP we have before us, that they are proposing 2.6 acres of upland area for recreation area. So they meet this requirement of the PUD. And this is just a copy from the adopted PUD ordinance suggesting where recreation area could be, but they're meeting the minimum area requirement. So that condition is met. The next condition is that wetland buffers are required to be placed around the perimeter of wetland areas. And in this final development plan, wetland buffers, an average of 25 feet and a minimum of 15 feet, are being provided along jurisdictional wetland areas. So this condition is met. Another condition, the requirement for sidewalks pursuant to ordinance 9917 is waived for this final development plan. And indeed, they're not proposing sidewalks along the internal roadways, so this condition is met. The requirement for a second point of access into the Buckhead PUD is waived. And indeed, they're not providing a second point of access for this phase of Buckhead PUD. So that condition is met. They'll just continue to use the existing entrance on Ford Road. And the final condition from the PUD is that a left turn lane requirement is waived if the project engineer study to be provided to the county confirms that there's not a significant left turn lane volume. And with this FDP modification, they are not proposing a left turn lane into the Buckhead residential subdivision on Ford Road. They'll just continue to use the entrance as it is, so this condition is also met. So in conclusion, the proposed FDP has been reviewed by county staff and is found to be consistent with requirements for an FDP pursuant to Land Development Code Section 5.07C2 for site development plan review submission requirements, and for Section 25.05F for PUD procedures. The proposed final development plan, FD 24-005, is consistent with the adopted preliminary development plan found in Ordinance 2002-52 and with the conditions of the Buckhead PUD development order, also adopted in Ordinance 2002-52. Based on the findings described above, staff recommends approval of application FD 24-005, modifications to the final development plan for Buckhead 2, phases 3 and 4 of the Buckhead PUD. And as I mentioned earlier, this item last went to the PZB on February 4th, 2025, where they recommend approval with a vote of 7-0. So that concludes my presentation, and if you have any questions, we're here to answer them.
Any questions for Mr. Olson? Mr. McCullough?
I have one question, and this may not be for Mr. Olson, it may be different, but one of the concerns with the residents, and Mr. Companion and I had talked about this with one of the residents, and when this is complete, does the homeowners association, will that immediately conjoin developments 1 and 2, and that may be for the applicant?
Yeah, I don't have any.
Okay, thank you. I'll save that question. Thank you for your presentation.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Olson.
Thank you very much.
Applicant presentation, 10 minutes.
Oh, okay.
If you could, please state your name and address for the record.
Yeah, I was just waiting for the
Sure, yes, sir.
presentation to come up.
Can I have you raise your right hand? Do you swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
If you wouldn't mind just stating your name and address for the record.
Randy Martinuzzi on behalf of Calico Development, 2120 Corporate Square Boulevard, Jacksonville, Florida. It's actually a PDF.
Okay. When did you submit
It was submitted a while ago, and then I re-provided it to Adam today. Sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Certainly, let me try to.
That's, again, Randy Martinuzzi, thank you for your time tonight. I will try to be quick. Adam did a great job. There's just a couple key issues that I think are important for the county and for us. One of them he addressed quite well, which use the arrow. Perfect. Whoa. Okay, so I'll get through this really quick. The one thing I did want to mention is that this project was originally, is proposed for 207 units total through all the phases. And there was 119 that were already done, so it left us 88 that were remaining, and this is for 85. So it'll be 3 unused entitlements. The primary issues that key points I wanted you to understand were the fire safety, the bus stop issue, the parks as we've made them more accessible, and also our stormwater, we believe, is a better stormwater plan in that we are not funneling everything to the street. A lot of it goes directly to the stormwater ponds, and that should definitely help when we're having significant events. So Adam went through this. I don't want to belabor the point, other than if you look on the lower left-hand side, you'll see what you approved in 2022, and it's a park that really there's no access. It doesn't comply with your current park code. So we fixed that. And essentially the way this came is this was approved, and then it comes to me for engineering and development at that time. I have a new role at this point, so that's why I'm presenting. But at that time, it came to me, and this is one of the things that we looked at and we weren't happy with. We didn't want to park behind a bunch of houses for multiple reasons, and we think we have a better result. And you'll notice that within the park, there's a bunch of parking spaces now for the community. And in addition to those parking spaces, that's where we put the bus stop. Okay, and I'll come back to that in a moment. And then we also have a secondary park that is very functional, that we would be able to accommodate with things for the kiddos, and we expect that this to be a heavy, intensive community with kids. Okay. The biggest problem that we had was fire safety. When we went through the original plan, final development plan in 2022, we thought that the existing phases, there's a very large stormwater pond, and we thought that that had fire safety, and we planned on using that. We had discussions with the fire department. I actually was a little bit involved in those. And when this came over to me and we went to start designing the final engineering, we found out that there was no fire safety. So phase Buckhead 1 is technically the first phase, and you have Buckhead 2, phase 1 and 2. So you technically have 3 phases already constructed, and then this is Buckhead 2, 3, and 4. Okay? So there's no fire safety. We had not put fire safety in the final development plan of 22-004, so we had to add that. When we got into engineering, we had a problem. We couldn't meet current code. I think the county wants us to meet that code, and we also wanted, because if we don't have some fire safety for our community, then we have a problem with insurance rates for houses, and obviously you also worry about the safety of the citizens if there's a fire, life and limb and property. So we were able to take a pond. It took a little bit of time because we had to do drought studies. Sometimes you look at whether you want to look at flood when you're doing a stormwater management pond that's going to be used for purposes of fire safety. Then you have to do a drought study and make sure that the levels of the water in I think it's a 100-year drought would still have enough water for the fire safety. So once we got all that done and certified, we designed it. Just a real quick thing here. This is not a dry pond. This is a new engineered pond that is being used in some other counties in Florida. We worked with the fire department to design this. Within the plans that are in an exhibit here too, we have a pond where the water actually goes from the pond, stays in a reservoir that is under the road, and if a fire pumper truck pulls in, they just drop the line right into that reservoir and they can start sucking water. It's believed to be better for the fire trucks, less problem with pumps getting blown out due in silt and everything else. And this has all gone through the fire department, and it was also went through the DRC. So that was just something we mandatorily had to fix. The other thing we did is in the original, on my left, you'll see the original, we had the bus stop down in the very corner. We've now been able to move the bus stop up towards phase, I'll call it Buckhead 2, Phase 1 and 2. So as well as it can service our entire community. We have parking at the bus stop, which is now mandatory per Nassau County School Board. We ran the calculations, and I believe this is good, but if we needed to, it would be a minor change to a site plan if we need to do that. And the other thing that I said is that we used to have 2 large stormwater ponds. We had some pipe that was 48 inches to move it from point A to point B. In an event, we don't think that's really good. When I went to redesign this, we talked about that. We were able to see some of the pipe because we had put it out on the street and bid it. And now we have, because of it's surrounded by wetlands, we can have 4 different outfalls so that if we had a major event, we're now releasing the water into the wetlands in 4 different places as opposed to it all being really over in one area. We also think that engineering-wise, that it's a much better design. And that's really all I have. I'll wait until you have any other questions. If you want, I can address the HOA real quick for you, or I can wait and come back on comments. I still have 7 minutes and 41 seconds. It's your call.
That would be at the discretion of the chairman.
Right, I'm sorry, I was writing down the retention.
There was a question about whether the HOA will be conjoined.
Right, that was a question.
Yes, if you'd like, I can address it now, or I can wait until rebuttal I have plenty of time left.
Sure, you can address it.
Okay.
You can address that now, thank you, sir.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the big difference is that phase 1 and then phase 2, 1 and 2 are public roads. This will be private roads. We expect it to be private roads per the current land development code. So we would have to we have expected fully to have a separate HOA. The reserves and fundings that would be required to be able to replace the road, repair the road in 20 to 25 years from now will require significant reserves. My understanding right now is that the current HOA fee that they are paying is $240 annually. This would be significantly much more. There would be no way that they would sign on to this. We wouldn't expect them to sign in to this community under those guys. So they would not be conjoined just for that reason. I don't see any way that we could feasibly do it. We have no control over the current past phases of the HOA.
I asked that question on the record because a lot of the citizens and residents were concerned because they've had discrepancies or disagreements within the HOA with the previous developer of the first 2 phases. And so that's why I was asking about this third and fourth. I think a lot of the residents were concerned because of not a clear communication. So I'm glad that this is on the record, that those will be 2 separate entities. So thank you.
And as part of the original final development plan, I think we submitted CNRs, proposed CNRs that complied with and they were part of what was reviewed by DRC, and I think we called it Buckhead Reserve. I actually looked at that today. Anything else? Otherwise, I'll sit and then just respond to any comments that are necessary.
Thank you, Mr. Martinuzzi. We'll now do public speaker cards. Mr. Cameron Chambers.
Do you swear and affirm that testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please state your name and address for the record.
My name's Cameron Chambers. I live at 30075 Trophy Trail. Really only had 2 questions. I guess he kind of covered one of the 3 that I originally had. But so, being that the original PUD was drafted in 1999, I know I'm probably not going to get the answer that I want here, but is there no expiration on a planned unit development? Because if this would have been completed 20 years ago, when it really should have, there'd be no problems. But because everyone was told, oh yeah, no one's gonna build back there, now there's more homes being added. That's why most people have had their issues. So as a county, can we explore looking into limiting the time frame to actually expedite and make sure that these developers are actually building the homes in a timely fashion so that this kind of nonsense doesn't happen again? And I would just like a definition of what the recreation area will have and what it's actually going to be. Is it just going to be an open field as we have now, or is it going to be amenity centers? That'll be all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chambers. Ms. Wanda Franklin?
Do you swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Wanda Franklin, 11641 Buckhead Trail. I'm one of the 30 original residents in that subdivision, and I just have a couple points I want to point out. So you've all heard in the past all of our discussions about the way the HOA was handled in the past. Okay, so you know how they've done it in the last 20 years. I'd like for you to watch, see how they do it in the next. Also, I learned today y'all approved permits. So we have a sign permit that's coming through. We had to pay $50 because somebody never permitted it. So if you would please approve that so we can get our light fixed. St. John's Water Management informed us that Michael Stokes is the one that signed the permit for our erosion water drainage system that's going to be impacted with these new houses. Playgrounds. Yeah, we had a grassy field for 22 years. One of the residents cut it, nobody else. So, like Mr. Cameron, is there going to be any equipment? Is there going to be anything there? Or are we going to wait another 22 years? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Franklin. Mr. Max Franklin?
Do you swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Max G. Franklin Jr. I live at 11641 Buckhead Trail. I came out of a neighborhood in Argyle Forest where it used to take me 3.5 minutes to leave my driveway and get to Blanding. When I left and made the decision to move out here, it took 36 minutes, and that's if there wasn't a wreck. My biggest concern when we bought out there was people parking all over the streets, commercial vehicles parked in yards along the street. And we made the decision to buy that because a real estate agent, which I know a little about because I'm a retired real estate agent, my wife is still active. We bought that house based on the information that CETA told us. When our little area was done, because we were the original one, it was going to be turned over to the homeowners, and there'd never be any building back there. I leave and come back on vacation, and y'all have heard this before. They leveled every tree out there, killed numerous gopher turtles, ran the deer out that used to be around my house all the time. And it aggravates me that I could take the most money I'm ever going to spend, have somebody like CETA lie to me repeatedly, and get away with it. And the biggest problem we've got is that stormwater pond that they have out there, the biggest one, is the one with the $250,000 to $300,000 problem that I know, sure as I'm standing here breathing, that it's going to get stuck to the original homeowners to fix it, because nobody wants to take responsibility for it. And that just really, really, really aggravates me. I'm too old to pick up and move and start again. I'm really, really aggravated that nobody takes charge of these homeowners associations and developers like CETA that can lie to people and get away with it. It's just not right. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Franklin. Is there any other public comment? I have no other cards. Okay. Any cross-examination or rebuttals on presentations so far?
I can just clarify one thing that'll take about
Sure.
35 seconds. We, at the P and Z, the thing about street parking did come up. It's a public road. We can't do anything about it. I will tell you that when we went through DRC, because we were a private road, we did have to add to the CNRs for our phase that we will not allow any public parking on the roads, and that we can enforce that. I know that there's all kind of things going on within that HOA that's been turned over for a few years, and I just can't address those. I can't help you out with those. But I can tell you that it will not be an issue in our phase.
Right. Thanks. Just, if I may, so the original HOA from the original PUD is already turned over to an HOA company?
Yeah, it was managed, while we had it was managed, Mr. Stokes was the developer, but CETA Homes had enough of an interest as they buy lots, so it had a lot of control at that time. But it was turned over a few years ago. I don't know why it was so late, but it was turned over. And I'm actually, a little amazed that the assessment's still $240. I went back to 2000, the year 2000 when this was put in, and the assessment was $200 originally.
Okay, I appreciate the clarification. Mr. Graham, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, also make sure I got this right. I watched the
Yeah.
planning and zoning board meeting.
Yeah.
So it was, phase one has nothing to do with this phase here, correct? That was done many years ago, separate HOA. This is a new phase, a new development company, and am I correct? I watched the meeting, and that's the way I understood it.
Calico Development, which actually owns this land, it looks like, I don't technically understand all the requirements, because I did notice that it was, for transparency, Calico actually signed the plat for the last phase.
It's a separate HOA, correct?
Yes, it's totally a separate HOA
Okay, thank you.
and separate phase.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, before you sat down, I'm sorry, I was trying to get your attention.
Commissioner McCullough.
Oh, I apologize. Two things. Looking back, and I looked at the attachments, you can't give the residents an answer about the park and recreation, even though you have the,
The thing is, when we went through DRC, you have your new park code,
Yes, sir.
and I know your new park code pretty well about the pavilion and
Yes.
Wi-Fi and all these things that are required in the new park code. And it hasn't been brought how much of that's going to be enforced, because this PUD predates it. Typically, there would be something that would be done within this park. I have a pro forma. My pro forma's got a budget for, some playground equipment and such, and that's actually one of the reasons why we have the two parks, was because you would have the larger park that's maybe more of the, a little different, and then you have the smaller little park that would be more kid-friendly and have things for kids. But maybe Mr. Pope, nobody ever brought up what version of the park code was going to be enforced on us. And just like one of the other things is, phase one doesn't have any streetlights, but we've gone through it and we've been told in DRC we have to put streetlights in this phase. So there's a lot of things, and we just acquiesced just to get them through. You can't fight City Hall on everything. So we are putting streetlights in this, and the park requirements I don't expect to be anything that can't be worked into 89 units.
Sure.
So I just wanted to make one clarification. Elizabeth Back with the Planning Department. So when this came through, FDP does go through the Development Review Committee. The Planning Department does review this. The developer was asked to provide Parks and Recreation consistent with our current Parks Manual.
Correct.
It was pointed out that this PUD predates, and staff, understood the point that was made, that this PUD does predate it, but the requirement was listed. They did have the opportunity to comply, but chose not to. Any questions for
Yes, I
me?
have a question, Mr.
Go
Chairman.
ahead, Mr. Gray.
Were all of our requirements met? Nassau County.
They're not at the
requirements
stage
right now
that they
for this
have to
PUD.
meet it, but for a development that would go forward at this time, they would have to meet the Parks and Rec manual. Due to the age of the PUD, the developer was right that they do not have to comply, but staff did request that they comply. Just wanted to make that clarification that they
Ms.
were asked to do
Ms.
so.
Back, Ms. Back, I have a question for you, please.
Certainly.
Was the requirements made for the second phase, this current phase here, are our requirements met now for everything?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm just saying,
Okay,
it
thank
could
you.
be their option to provide with the Parks Manual, even though they're not forced to do so, they could comply.
So we requested, but he already
Correct.
said there wasn't a budget to do so.
Well, it wasn't really about the budget, it was more about the age of the PUD
Okay, thank
and the time that the Parks Manual was adopted, and they do have a point that they are not legislatively required to comply. However, there's nothing preventing them from meeting the prototype requirements for, if a current PUD came before us, we would require those prototypes, like Mr. Martinuzzi mentioned, the public Wi-Fi, the amenities that you normally would provide at a neighborhood park for any PUD that would be moving forward in present day.
And if I might, for my colleagues, there's a distinct difference between Phase 1
In
and
phase
Phase 2, right? And where we are, HOA and HOA, they're completely different subjects, and they are getting crossed in the conversation so just to
Correct,
remind you
correct.
that for clarity.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Mr. Martinuzzi,
Yeah.
if we could, just keep things on the record. Thank you.
My understanding was that when we did design the new parks, we did meet the frontage requirements, where you have I think it's 33 or 35% must abut the road. Now, we went over on acreage, so if you drew a line and cut that off, but the parks did meet that. So we did try to comply with the current park requirement as it is now.
Thank
That
you.
was one of the big advantages, we thought.
Thanks for the clarification.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Any final comments from staff? Thank you for the clarification there. You have any questions for either of the folks so far? Okay. I'm going to close the public hearing for tab E. Board deliberation. Commissioner McCullough.
I'm going to make a motion, and then after I make the motion, I would like to you want us to go ahead and open up the comment now, like our discussion, or would you prefer us to take a vote and then discuss the item?
I'd prefer the deliberation
Okay.
before the
Well,
motion.
I meant a comment, yes, not
Yeah.
deliberation.
Okay.
Okay, this is, I've talked to a lot of the homeowners in there, and you brought up a great, clear point. Phase 1 and Phase 2 are very separate entities. Unfortunately, I know that the residents in Phase 1 feel slighted, they're aggravated, they have a lot of HOA issues, that we are listening to them. I know that Mr. Companion has been diligently working with myself, with staff, with the residents in Phase 1, but we have got to look at this as a whole. They're two separate entities for development, and I hate that when the residents moved in, they didn't realize that the PUD included a second phase. It happens a lot more often than you realize across the county, across the state. But at this point, Mr. Hutman, if there is no other comment, I will make my motion, but I'll open the floor to my.
Okay, I appreciate the opportunity to make a comment. I'd like to do so right now, if I may. For the citizens, thank you for your comments. I appreciate your frustration. I'll tell you that as someone who has suffered the same very similar problem in the neighborhood I live in, that my answer would be to you, because it is separate from this discussion we're going to have, take charge of your HOA. The one that you do have, you have the control and the power in that you are the residents that own and run that HOA. And feel free to reach out to me after this for some additional conversations on that. This really is where the power is. I have no further comments. Anyone?
You want to make?
Commissioner McCullough.
Based upon the record and evidence and testimony received, I find that there is competent and substantial evidence pursuant to Section 5.07C2 and 25.05F of the Land Development Code and Ordinance 2002-52, and therefore, my motion is to approve FD 24005.
I have a motion by Commissioner McCullough.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Martin. Call the vote.
We got to do a roll call vote on that.
Okay.
Commissioner Gray?
Commissioner Gray, you said?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Commissioner Martin?
Yes.
Commissioner Farmer?
Yes.
Commissioner McCullough?
Yes?
And Chair Hupman?
Yes.
And that's 5 ayes, 0 nays. Motion passes.
Motion carries.
The motion carries. Thank you. All right, for informational items, tab AF is the BOCC new letter for January 2025. Thanks to the staff for getting that prepared. There it is. Commissioner Martin has got it on display for us. General public comment. Public comment is under the authority of the Board of County Commissioners, and the time limit is 3 minutes. Ms. Osborne, you are up, ma'am. Thank you for your patience this evening.
Thank you. Jackie Osborne, 85503 Sagaponack, Fernandina Beach, Florida. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for allowing me to speak to y'all. I learned so much. Every time I come, it's like, oh, they're going to put some more houses here. I volunteer out at the animal shelter, as you know, and the NCAS count for today is dogs in the kennel is 60 and in foster 75. Cats in the cattery is 47 and in foster is 11. Please stop the show in there. Never mind. Thank you. You'll see an empty cage, and this is in the cattery, as they call it. The cattery is, for the most part, empty right now because kitten season started last Friday officially. There were 2 litters of kittens that have already come to the shelter. I had the pleasure of seeing one this afternoon. There was a mama with 5 babies. Unfortunately, the mama was not there. We don't know if the mama dropped them and went to eat or whatever mamas do when they leave babies, or somebody took the mama and the babies and the mama just didn't come back. So they took the 5 babies that are a day old and they gave them to another volunteer who is in fact going to foster them. She has a mom that is nursing her own litter. So hopefully this will work out so everybody can be happy now. In the event that these kittens come in like that, there's a 100% chance that they will not survive. It's just that simple. They will not survive. So please, please, please spay and neuter your animals. Again, like I said, kitten season started last Friday, and we had the one that went in there, and I'm way off target here. And as Ms. Gluck, I believe was her name, mentioned from the health department, our growth is phenomenal. And whenever people come in, they bring animals. Please spay and neuter your animals and leave the alligators alone. Don't feed them. An alligator has not been back to the animal shelter since they ran her off the last time. Thank you so very much. Y'all have a great day.
Thank you for your passion and commitment, Jackie. County manager's business. Mr. Pope.
I have no additional business tonight, sir. Thank you.
County attorney business.
I have no business. Thank you,
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
County commissioner's business. We'll start with Commissioner Gray tonight.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, springtime, getting a little busy. I had the pleasure of attending the Chamber of Commerce ribbon cutting for a new business coming here to Yulee. It was Farah and Farah on Friday, February 28th. Commissioner Farmer was there as well. Thank you, Commissioner Farmer, for being in attendance. We've got those services now we can offer. I put a posting on my social media. Next thing you know, everybody's like, where's it at? Where's it at? So it's a need, definitely. So welcome, Farah and Farah. Saturday, March 1st, I, along with Deputy Brian Blackman, was at the Yulee Little League Opening Day ceremonies out at the Yulee Regional Sports Complex on March 1st. And we had opening day ceremonies. It was a lot of fun. As it is always every year, it's so exciting to see all the families out. And I had a chance to brag on all of y'all, the Board of County Commissioners, of all the wonderful things we've been doing in our Parks and Recreation. And the place looks, and staff also. County Manager, Mr. Pope, Mr. Companion, and Mr. Ironman. When you go out there, it looks totally different when I used to coach and umpire out there. I mean, fresh coat of paint on that place, and all the backstop netting, and the shade structures, and new bleachers. It's really nice out there. So thank y'all, everyone, and we're making some positive improvements. And on Monday, March 3rd, I attended the handsforhearts.org organization. Jim, I'm going to butcher his last name, Bolenbach, I think it is. I, along with Chair Huffman and Commissioner Martin, attended the educational training video filming. It was going to showcase a training opportunity available to Nassau County citizens on the importance of hands-on CPR. It was a lot of fun. It's always good to get that CPR training with Jim. And their goal here in Nassau County is to train 10,000 citizens in hands-only CPR, because it really makes a difference if you don't have an AED real close by to use hands-only CPR. They're around 3,000 currently, and we just appreciate him and his organization. Former Director of Department of Health, Ms. Seidel, was there as well. And then my last thing, Mr. Chairman, was Saturday, 3/8. I was out at the Run Wild 5-10K race. I seen Chairman Huffman out there and his band. They was playing some good tunes for us, for everybody. The proceeds benefit the Boys and Girls Club of Nassau County. And it was a lot of fun. There was a lot of vendors out there, and that was my first race, and I did pretty good. I come in like 13 minutes with a bad foot, so I had a lot of fun, and I look forward to doing it again. My daughter talked me into doing it, and I love her, and I'm glad she did. And it's just a lot of fun. We've got a lot of good stuff going on in Nassau County where, 10 years ago, a lot of things wasn't out there for the citizens, and now we're mature, and it's really just making a place a really wonderful place to live here in Nassau County. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Gray. Commissioner Farmer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This past Wednesday, I attended the Boy Scout luncheon over at the Ritz-Carlton. Myself and several other commissioners were there. Raised $50,000, they said, for the Boy Scouts, which was really cool. Myself and Commissioner Huntman got our picture taken with the great Ray Evernham, which is the crew chief for NASCAR driver Jeff Gordon, and I thought that was pretty cool. He was here, I believe, for the festivities of the weekend with the Amelia. I know there's a large crowd over there, and us West Siders, even though a lot of times we get invited to those events, we try to just hide in our corner and stay where we belong. I didn't want to be a part of the traffic, but it was great to get invited. This past Thursday, I was invited as the guest speaker to Plummer Creek subdivision at the HOA meeting. I expected to be 12, 15, 18 people. I would say there's probably at least 175. It was a very, very large, well-attended meeting, but it went really, really well, and I stood in the hot seat and gave them an opportunity to throw balls at me. It didn't get anybody really to throw any balls at me. It was pretty good, and like I said, at the end of the event, got a lot of people, clapping for me and fist bumping me and stuff, so I presume that they appreciated the fact that we were over there and well represented at their HOA meeting. Let's see, this past Saturday, met Director Robertson at the Callahan Ballpark for opening day. That was very well attended, and also left there and went to Briceville Ballpark and was invited to throw out the first pitch. So they didn't give me any warm-up. I threw a one-hopper into the dirt, but it wasn't a limp wrist pitch by any stretch. I told them I'd throw them a pass ball before I gave them the old limp wrist. This guy's never played sports before pitch, and somebody told me it was radar at 73 miles per hour. I'm not sure, but anyway, it was it wasn't a limp wrist throw nonetheless. And hey, he caught it on a one hopper, so it wasn't terrible. I'd like to thank both organizations out there for allowing me to be a part of their special day. A lot of young kids out there, man, doing big things in our community, and what a commitment by the coaches and the volunteers, and especially the sponsors. Man, there's a ton of sponsors out there. We don't need to forget. You got there looking around on those field walls out there. Remember to, keep our business local. Those people are reinvesting in our community. They're a special part of who we are. Tomorrow at 2 p.m., we got Nassau County Sheriff's Office Sheriff Leaper's Award Day. Also tomorrow is my father's 80th birthday, so anybody that may see him around town, tell the old goat happy birthday. And this next Saturday from 4 to 7, we're inviting our friends and family out to the Canada Barn for some barbecue, some cake, sweet tea. Come on out and join us. And if you can't, just, ring, pick up the phone, say hi to him. He'd appreciate that a lot. Also want to make sure, don't forget that we've got Caitlin's Ride for Autism, Saturday, April 12th, coming up Connor Road over in Hilliard, over off 121. Registration's open now. $75 per registration. You can go to caitlinsride.com, and even if you don't spell it right, it's still going to send you there. Like to thank our solid waste director, Lynn Dyden, for the fantastic job they do over there. He's kind of out of sight and out of mind. They want to make sure and advertise our Nassau County Household Hazardous Waste Collection and Food Drive for Barnabas. That's coming up on April the 26th from 8 a.m. to noon at the Nassau County Road Department right here at Gene LaCere Boulevard. So they'll have a whole list full of stuff. If you want to go to our website, you can go to NassauCountyFL.com and the stuff will be there. You can go to thecountyinsider.com. You can find all these pamphlets there. And then also one last thing, Nassau County Friends of the NRA is having an event Saturday, April 26th, 5 p.m. out at Camp Sorensen, which is now owned by the Florida Sheriff's Youth Ranch. And they're going to have a nice event out there that evening. So if you guys, anyone's interested in participating in that event, just let me know. And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Farmer. Commissioner McCullough.
Yes, sir. I think we've all had our fair share of ballpark openings. I love having 2 ballparks in my district. It's always great. But we also, you're talking about Camp Soren, we had the Woods and Water. It was great to see all those community events. I think we tried to be at every single possible thing we can. And there's only one of us to go around in our district. Take Stock in Children, another event Thursday. If you're not going to the gala, I would encourage everyone to go online to the auction. They have our businesses really stepped up for that auction. There is some great items that no one has outbid me on yet, so I better be real careful on what some of the auction items are. But there's some really great items, and a lot of people just don't even know those are up for bid. Thank you, NEFBA. Economic growth, I think, is a forefront of this commission. We're looking at how do we balance and grow this county sustainably, and it doesn't happen without economic growth. I was going to say, Saturday morning out at Hilliard Ballpark, it was actually your niece sang the national anthem when we opened up, and I think there wasn't many dry eyes left in the ballpark. I don't know how old she is. 9. She got out there and no background music, anything, belted out the national anthem like Mariah Carey out there, and so she was just awesome. Gave me goosebumps, chills. I know that your dad was pretty happy there behind her at the home plate. So we just got a lot of great things going. I think it's raining. It's the rainy season starting. Spring showers bring May flowers. So everyone get ready for some rain. So thank you, Mr. Hutman.
You're very welcome. Commissioner Martin.
I don't know if there's much else to say, but I do have a list. It's obvious that it's baseball season in Nassau County. I attended the Elm Street Little League opening day, the Fernandina Beach Babe Ruth League opening day. And let me tell you, these 2 organizations, I'm sure, and for those of you that ever wonder, well, where's Commissioner so-and-so? Where's Commissioner so-and-so at these Little League opening days? 4 out of 5 of them were on the same day and at the same time. So I attended the ones that were in my district, and I apologize I couldn't clone myself and be at the other ones. But we do the best we can to be everywhere that we should be, and I think all of us do a pretty good job of getting out there in the public and supporting them. But I can tell you that in my district, the Elm Street Little League and the Fernandina Beach Babe Ruth League, they are very appreciative of the support that they're getting from the Board of County Commissioners in the county, especially with the $50,000 annual municipal grant for parks and recreation equipment. The Babe Ruth League is looking forward to them batting cages, and I got a brief, I didn't get a picture of them, they're gonna send me some description of them, but from what Tom Kamara said, he's the president of the Babe Ruth League, he described them to me, and these things are gonna be top of the line. They're gonna be enclosed. So people are gonna be using the batting cages, they're gonna be inside a building. So you're not gonna hear the ding of the bat when you're out there on the field, and being distracted. And it's gonna be safer, it's gonna be automated, it's gonna be high-tech security there. It's gonna be really great. So let me tell you, they appreciate these various leagues. I can tell you that these two that I went to, they voiced their appreciation to me about this grant that we do every year for them. I want to give a shout out to the Fernandina Beach High School varsity baseball team. They are having a great season. They're 10-0. I went out and watched the last game. Some of these juniors and seniors, and even a couple of sophomores, these are grown men. I'm telling you, they are hitting that ball hard. I watched a guy hit a over the fence home run. There was an inside the park home run too, but this one kid, he's a junior, and bam, he dinged one. It's like the fifth one he's had this season. He almost had two his next time up, or had another one his next time up. So if you haven't watched any of their ball games, get their schedule and go out and watch Fernandina Beach High School varsity baseball team. They're having a great season, and I wish them all the best going forward. Commissioner Huppman and I both serve on the Northeast Florida Regional Council. In our last meeting, there was a presentation by some folks that we know. I want to give kudos out to our planning director, Ms. Elizabeth Back, and she was joined by Randy Carvalho and Holly Coyle. They're there for moral support for, but Ms. Back, she gave a very good presentation on Nassau County's Vision 2050 process, and it was very well received by the rest of the folks in the council. It represents 7 Northeast Florida counties. You typically have a couple of commissioners there from each county, some city commissioners and stuff. Commissioner Huppman and I were there. Commissioner Minshew from the city commission was there, and she was getting kudos from everybody around the table, and they're watching how Nassau County is doing things going forward because they think we're doing a pretty good job. I would like to invite the public to our, is this our 5th or 4th? 5th Winter Strategic? 5th?
Let's go with 5.
5, okay.
Let's try it.
I think it's our 5th. To our 5th annual Winter Strategic Planning Session. It's going to take place on March 13th and 14th, starting at 9 a.m. We'll probably go all day on the 13th, and depending on how much we get done that day, we may do a half a day, starting at 9 on the 14th. And it's going to be at FSCJ, Nassau Center, in the Bean Center. So that's where county manager and staff are going to put on a real good show for us. And if you want to know what's going to happen in Nassau County in the coming year, what we plan on doing, and have an opportunity, there'll be public comment opportunities too. I advise you to attend. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Martin. I'd like to congratulate our procurement and finance folks on their proclamation tonight. And actually, I'd like to talk about staff, just in general. We have a fantastic staff in Nassau County. We're incredibly blessed with the team of professionals that work here. I personally don't appreciate some of the public stuff on social media that I see. And I've recently broke my own rule and said something to somebody about staff, because they were talking about staff. But anyway, I thank the staff every day. I thank them for little things like me noticing that they restored our sign out on 200 out here, and they repainted it and redressed it up and cleaned it. They cleaned around the building. They've done the beds. We have a team of people on our staff who've rebuilt the inside of this building so that we can fit the staff in our own building, in our own facility. So taking great care of us and taking great care of each other. So thanks to the staff for that. The strategic planning meeting, I should have said first, I did a bunch of things and I was at a lot of places, and right now I couldn't even tell you what they all were, because it was busy. It's been busy. But busy's good, because that means we're doing great things for Nassau County. So we'll see you at the strategic planning meeting on Thursday and Friday. Come on out and see us there. Watch the sausage get made. Isn't that what you say, Mr. Farmer? See how the sausage gets made. So come on out and see us. And with that, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for the late night.